Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 25th and final week of the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. This is an unmissable weekend as the players jostle for position and as we determine the top 12 who will move on to the finals next week. I'm your host, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Alongside me today, once again, International Master Lawrence Trent. Lawrence, good afternoon to you. Are you as excited as I am for this final week of regulation?
I am, and it's going to be an interesting tussle because a lot of spots have been locked up at the top. Some of the big names are through as already, but there's a lot to play for. Top 12 go through. There's going to be a lot of these guys trying to get in so that they can qualify, and we should be in for a very exciting day.
We will indeed. Let's quickly run through the format. And once again, if you're not aware of the format, it's kind of too late. But as you just mentioned, Lawrence, Grand Prix points are gained cumulatively through the 25-week season, of which this is the final week, with the final season scores based on the highest scoring 13 weeks, and 12 players qualify for the finals. Today's time control will be 10 plus 0. Tomorrow's time control has a 2-second increment. This will be a 9-round Swiss, and the top 8 players in today's 9-round Swiss qualify for the Sunday knockout. Now, this is an absolutely critical week, as we are mentioning, given what the stakes are and given that a couple of players have not cemented their position in the top 12. And it's also critical from a prize perspective. Lawrence, forget the leaderboard, forget the Grand Prix points, $7,500 a week. Just that is motivation enough.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice little sweetener. $7,500 for first, $3,500 for second, third, and fourth, $2,500. Even top 8, $1,000 you don't turn your nose up at. And you know, a lot of these guys are very happy to take home this kind of money on a weekly basis. This is the 25th week. And you'll see just how much money these guys have accumulated by playing these Grand Prix points, serious amount of money. And then, of course, if you are then able to qualify, you're guaranteed that much more. So absolutely great to see. And really looking forward, as I say, to seeing some combative chess today.
Absolutely. And there are 10 points assigned for first place. And for somebody like Hikaru Nakamura, he couldn't care less. He has cemented first place by a country mile, by 30 points, as we check out the Grand Prix leaderboard here. But if you move your eyes over to the middle of the screen, people like Maxim Motlikov, people like Alexander Grishuk, even Wesley So, they have not guaranteed their ticket into the top 12. So they will have to put in a serious showing today. And we will see if that will be possible. But before we jump into the tournament, we would like to thank our sponsor, Coinbase, without whom the RCC would be impossible. And before we jump into the games, let's listen in to a quick word by our sponsor, Coinbase.
The Rapid Chess Championship is brought to you by Coinbase. Whether you're looking to make your first crypto purchase or you're an experienced trader, Coinbase has you covered. You can earn crypto by learning about crypto at Coinbase.com. Explore DeFi and Web3 with your Coinbase wallet. Get exclusive rewards when you spend with your Coinbase card and much, much more. Learn more at Coinbase.com/chess and get $10 in Bitcoin when you sign up and verify your account. Check them out. Use the command sponsor or command Coinbase today and go to Coinbase.com to get that Bitcoin, baby.
Back we are at the Rapid Chess Championship. We would like to thank once again our sponsor, Coinbase, for making this incredible new event possible. We hope that this will be the start of a long, many decade tradition. Lawrence, these 25 weeks, they've flown by, but let's savor this final week. I think we're in for a serious event today. I think we're in for something interesting.
We certainly are, and we can already see some of the players there lined up to play today. Some of the best in the world. Quite simply, Hikaru Nakamura. Yeah,
nobody's really playing this actually. What do you think's going on?
I might just hop in and take it down myself. I mean, look at the names already signed up here. Hikaru Nakamura doesn't need to play, wants to play, enjoys playing. $7,500 for a few hours work. is obviously appealing to him. He will win the overall standings after 25 weeks, but he's still here. Well, who else is here? Wesley So. We already said, Danya, he's right in that middle of the pack. So he actually needs to put in a performance today. If he has a disaster, he might not qualify. Fabiano Caruana, former world number 2, played the World Championship match against Magnus Carlsen in 2018. Fabi is already qualified. He's through, but again, why not play a bit of blitz on a Saturday afternoon, or I don't know where he is actually. It might be morning. And then we've got a bunch of other. Sorry,
could it be Sunday for him?
Or it could be Sunday. Goodness, who knows where he is? So Fabi is playing, and then we've got, of course, how about Jan Nepomniachtchi there? La Chessis IQ, I beg your pardon. Played in the most recent World Championship matches, qualified again after a brilliant performance of the candidates to play another World Championship match, this time against Ding, as Magnus steps aside. Hans Niemann is here, Alexander Grishuk. What a lineup we've got today, Dan.
Everybody's playing. Nobody wants to miss the last week of the RCC, whether they are trying to qualify or whether they are just putting in one final performance for the road. Everybody is playing today. We have in front of us the game between Ari and Tari, a pretty easy first-round pairing for Hikaru Nakamura.
Yeah. Now, Arjen, former World Junior champion, has just been playing in Chennai in the Olympiad for Norway. Very talented young player. I remember when I played him when he was about 2,200 in the Gibraltar Open. I thought, he's not really 2,200, is he? He was doing things that were slightly special. And it didn't surprise me whatsoever that he rose to 2,650. He stumbled a bit around this level, actually. It's one of the surprising things about Arjen. His talent is unquestionable, but he's not managed to push up that next level. I think a lot of players, a lot of people, especially, of course, Magnus himself, got high expectations for Arjen to push for 2,700. He's not found that extra gear. He's still young. He's still got time. Be interesting to see, but has a perfectly solid position here against Hikaru. And in fact, I take white here quite easily. No, I mean, I'm a bit skeptical about Hikaru's position.
Yeah, and that bishop on f5 is feeling mighty claustrophobic. There's even the idea, and I don't think Arjen's going to do this against Hikaru, but there was the idea of pushing the g-pawn to g4. And that ship has sailed because now the bishop has plenty of evacuation squares. But just really quickly, this was a force to be reckoned with, because if the bishop drops back, you harass it with knight g5, and you're going to ruin black structure permanently. You're going to disfigure the center. Now it feels like Hikaru is back more or less in control, but I would still take white. Knight is coming to c5. White's got great control over key central squares. I think Arjen's off to a good start here.
Yeah, not a bad start at all. And I guess the question is, you know, after bishop takes c4, let's say, well, actually, black has got quite a big decision here. There's an argument to take with both pawns, but and Hikaru does take with the b pawn. Knight c5 and plays queen b6, trying to pressurize this backwards pawn now on b2. Very useful that the bishop on f4 is controlling the b8 square. So queen d2 is possible here. Rook e2 is also possible potentially. I don't really see Arjen playing anything else. I think g4 now is actually maybe still a move randomly, just to force bishop c8 to disconnect the rooks, but it's a bit too loose. So queen d2, rook e8.
I think.
Okay, and this is.
I was just going to say one thing he has to watch out for is f6 and e5 potentially. You can't dilly-dally for too long. In fact, e5 is already a threat, actually.
E5 is, so this knight on c5 is actually a little loose, isn't it?
It really is, and it's not that easy to stop e5. Bishop h6 by Arjen, and e5
I like this
possible.
Move. E5 is still possible. Is it? Might not.
Bishop 8 shaped by Hikaru, trying to keep the tension. Here, I would very seriously consider G4 because that forces the bishop all the way back to C8, which is what you were pointing out.
Yeah.
But
so let's say.
Then what?
Yeah, that's the big question. Then what?
Because
not completely
becomes
clear.
Even stronger. Knight 8.
Yeah, this. I was looking at this move. I was trying to make this move work actually. So after Bishop C8, what's his and F4? This is his idea. This is very logical.
That's how he stops C5.
But does it?
Well, that's the big question.
Can you still do it?
No, I think here it doesn't come with the same effect because it doesn't crack White's center punch. So even if somehow tactically you don't lose a piece, and the eval bar seems to
this might lose actually, just King H1.
King H1, and you've gotten yourself into quite the tizzy on the E file.
Yeah, no, he's not going to play E5. And in fact, what do you do here as Hikaru? And you can see there, we've got a video capture of Hikaru there. He's obviously streaming this on his own channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look that happy with his position now. I think rightly so. This looks a bit gross now for Black. Yeah, I don't know if I go F5 here. I think I just go King H1.
I would even consider Knight F5. But of course, I'm going a little bit crazy. Goodness. Maybe Rook E3 first.
Rook E3.
The problem, and I've seen Hikaru win so many games like this, is you're better. Your time starts dwindling because Hikaru's always up a minute on the clock, as he is here. And before you know it, you have 2 minutes, and that is precisely the moment when he starts complicating the game. So Aryan has to try to avoid that narrative by playing decisively. Maybe G4 F5 quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you can go G4, Rook F1, F5 here. Mm-hmm. Rook AE1, also Rook E7. Now I would just go King H1 and just make sure that I'm not running into any future tactics. You know, one thing about playing with the attack is prophylaxis in the attack is one of my favorite subjects to teach. You know who's actually extremely good at prophylaxis in attack? Some games I use a lot. It's actually Fabiano Caruana, surprisingly. Really grasps the ideas very well. Just make sure that all of his opponent's threats and ideas are extinguished before he carries on with things. But here, clearly, Hikaru has got a specific idea of going F6 and E5. So that's why I wonder if Aryan's play was just a little bit too soft. This Rook A2, Rook AE1, E5 is coming. I think, yeah, and the knight on C5
is happening.
Yeah, it's happening, huh?
But
okay, it's
not worse for White, but Aryan is already feeling like he has missed an opportunity, like the train has passed, right? He can't play F5 anymore. He can't put a piece on E5 anymore. And he's down not 1 minute now, but already 2 minutes. Somehow Hikaru has done this while keeping 7 minutes on the clock. So looks pretty. Looks like
I'm trying to find. Hikaru. Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to tactically sort of be able to deal with E5. So if I go King H1, which has been played, right? How do we now deal with E5? That's my question.
So if he,
I want to take FE, Bishop G5. Yeah, Rook F7. Mm-hmm. And now what?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, Hikaru hasn't played E5. He wants to keep the tension. Oh, he's going to.
Oh, knight D8.
The bishop's going to be trapped.
Okay.
The bishop's going to be trapped. What a brilliant idea.
I've got a cute idea. Nearly. Yeah, I wanted to go F5, GF, knight E5 or something insane like that. FE, Queen G5.
Bishop G7.
But Bishop G7, yeah, doesn't quite work. But actually...
Black is better.
Wait, no. Rook E3, King H8, Rook G3. Oh my God. Queen C7. Line? So I'm just really getting creative today. F5, GF. The
computer is getting creative along with you.
Wow. Okay, GF. Now, I don't know whether knight G5 or not. I think knight E5 is the idea.
Okay, I take it. I gobble.
Yeah, Queen G5. Yeah, it doesn't work. Bishop G7. Yeah, I wanted to go rook E3. You've got F4 as well. That's really unfortunate.
Oh, F4 stops rook G3. I see what you wanted, something like this.
I wanted this, yeah. And
some
this
sort of this I can see going.
But even here, Queen C7 or Queen A7
here.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It all doesn't work. But I'm curious what his follow-up is in the real game. Okay, so F5 GF. So how do we deal with it?
Take?
Yeah, you have to take, I guess. I mean, he's thinking about E5, right?
He's probably thinking E5. G5 walks into knight takes G5. That looks very unpleasant. But I think he's just making sure that he's not missing anything. My guess is Aryan wants knight H4 in response to GF, aiming for knight takes F5.
And then if E5?
Then you think. First, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have missed E5, but we're not talking about that. Yeah, I think Aryan decided to sack the pawn and then start thinking. Maybe G4, but I'm very, very skeptical.
Queen F4.
Consolidating this.
No, but Queen F4 is clever, right?
But can't Black play Queen C7 even?
And then yes,
you're probably going to have to keep the queens on the board, and then I go knight F7 and I start surrounding. Further consolidating the king side, and it's happening.
Yeah.
I think Hikaru is going to win this game. Shall we do a very quick check-in on some of the other top games very quickly, and then we can come back? We've got Wesley against Pavel Elyanov. And Wesley's going to win this game.
Well, that's a nice move.
Look at that clinical knight play. Knight coming back around to F5. You can't take either pawn because of forks.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous move. Pavel Elyanov.
Wesley position.
Yeah. Pavel, a very strong player, was 27-30, 27-40 for a while.
60.
It's 27-60 even. I mean, top player. Don't know what happened in the past few years. Obviously, political tensions as well at the moment. I'm sure haven't helped things, but classy player, top player. But Wesley is just so strong, it's sick.
It's crazy. I mean, it's so clinical the way he wins games. I flipped on Fabiano Caruana's game because this one is very close one.
This looks really tough for Fabi. G5 is coming. The king enters. I'd hate to be black in this position.
I would as well.
Yeah, rook C3, king D5.
Oh, knight D4 check. He blundered.
Oh my god.
He has to go back to E4 and he blunders the pawn of the check.
Oh no.
And the wheels are coming off here. Jörg Meyer has had a couple of bitter pills to swallow. That game against Magnus, which he was on the cusp of drawing, and now this one, which he's in serious trouble in. And looks like Fabi's going to finish him in the end game.
Yeah.
We have Sam Sevian locked in a crazy position against one of the Olympic members of the Uzbekistan team, Yakuboyev. And looks like Yakuboyev is carrying his form right through to the RCC.
Just crushing.
Destroying Sam Sevian with black.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Look at these pawns. Look at these rooks. Rook takes C4. There's bishop C6, creating a deadly X-ray. Incredible.
Yeah, this is toast.
This is over.
And it's interesting, isn't it, how youth and confidence is a very dangerous cocktail. This whole Uzbekistan team, if you didn't follow the Olympiad, you've missed out on one of the most historic victories in Olympiad history, where an Uzbekistan team featuring a bunch of 16, 15, and 17-year-olds took down the entire thing. Yakuboyev being a key part of that, and it doesn't surprise me whatsoever that he's coming here and deciding to keep on crushing. Very, very interesting time for Uzbekistan. India, of course, the India 2 team did unbelievable. It was an old man's game. No longer, Daniel. This is a young man's game for sure.
It's getting younger and younger. It was a historic performance. And Yakuboyev is on the cusp. I'm monitoring that game as well, but that's all over. Now I flipped on Hikaru's game once more because this is still very competitive. Both sides down. Hikaru to 3 minutes, Aryan to 2 minutes, but White's position is on the verge of collapsing. Hikaru has managed to get this pawn at e5. White can never take because the knight is weakened. And Aryan Tari has 1 bar of connection. Nothing looks good here for White.
Yeah, the 1 bar of connection might be the best thing about his position, actually. Bishop f4 is a cool little try, though. Hoping for e takes f4, which would not be recommended on account of hanging rook.
Ooh.
And let's go to the Hans game.
We have just gotten word that a queen was blundered in this game.
Really?
Let's see. Was it? Well, both queens are still on the board. Let me flip through really quickly. I don't see it. I think it's an interesting position, but it looks like Hans is going to ultimately, I think he's going to squeeze the game out here. I think he's going to squeeze the game out.
Yeah, he's a minute up on the clock as well. There's no increment. You've got the opposite color bishops. You can play forever here. And Sugurov, talented grandmaster, young grandmaster. But actually, he's got a construction here where he can give checks along the long diagonal forever.
But I think Hikaru's game is still more entertaining. Oh, and Aryan just blundered. He takes f4, I think.
Yeah, e4 is simple tactic. I mean, I'll be shocked if Hikaru doesn't see this.
Yeah, e4 is game, I think. Rook takes e7. There's not a single tactical idea. Rook g7, king g7. You can resign. Black's piece is perfectly defending all of the key squares. Yeah, this is all over. Knight f3, still trying, but now the rooks are getting traded.
Poor performance by Aryan, really, in my opinion. I think he was far too coy in his approach. He needed to be much more aggressive earlier on when he had that initiative. He just took it way too easy. Wasn't decisive. And Hikaru will simply just not. Yeah.
At the risk of being an armchair general, I feel like that's actually one of Aryan's weaknesses. Like, he gets a lot of really, really good positions, but it just seems like, and even against Hikaru, he's had so many games like this where he just sort of, treads water, and you can't tread water against these guys. They're going to take over the initiative immediately if they sense weakness, and Hikaru wins. Okay, so we have Hans still trying to win this position.
Yeah, and he most likely will, because Shugurov has to make all of his moves in 30 seconds, and there's plenty of ways for Black to just keep things moving here. A move like, I don't know, queen c2, fg5, and queen d6 check comes. You have to find a bishop e4. It takes. He wants to.
You have to. I mean, the only thing you. Oh, queen c1. Oh, then bishop e1 again.
And then bishop e1 again.
You must avoid the queen trade if you're Black.
Yes.
King f5. Hans trying to zigzag his way out of the check. Sigurov still with 27 seconds. This is pretty skillful so far.
Yeah, but he covers the check. This is good. This is good. Queen e4 is excellent. Nice block.
G3, but here comes the battery, and Hans is going to win this.
Yeah. Queen h3 is a queen blunder.
That's the queen blunder we were talking about. It didn't come on move 35. It came on move 124. He meant to give a check. I think it was a mouse slip.
But even after queen g3, it's over, right? King f5, queen f2, king g6, and you can block the check on b6 with bishop c6.
Oh, great. That's a great line. And the checks are just totally killer. Incredible. Okay, so we have Raunak Sadhwani winning his game. And one of the last remaining games is a time scramble. Serrana against Motlikov, 2 winners of the RCC facing off in round 1. And Serrana is, he's having internet problems. But he's the much faster player. I don't know if White will lose this. I'm not sure. 8 seconds. Let's see.
So he blunders the pawn.
But it doesn't matter. It's just pure flagging at this point. They just have to start pre-moving.
Oh,
he had a fourth there. A draw by repetition. Oh, what an anticlimactic finish. The last thing.
There you go. Okay. So that probably concludes round 1, or it certainly is near the end. Some of the big favorites on 1 point: Jan Nepomniachtchi, Fabi Caruana, Wesley So, Hikaru Nakamura, Hans Niemann. We got our boy Jospin, who always hangs around, not considered an elite grandmaster, 2600 in his own right. But in these rapid and blitz championships, Jospin, who is also known as Jose Martinez, a critical week for him because he is on that cusp. He's right in that nearly zone with 38 points. And if he puts in a really good performance, comes second, third, he's most likely going to qualify. So massive week for Jospin.
Yeah, this is big. He needs big performance more than anything. A fascinating matchup, Hikaru against Bortnik. But I propose that we start with Jan's game. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
It's not like he won the candidates or anything.
Sorry?
It's not like he won the candidates or anything.
It's not like he just blew the candidates away with 8 out of 11, was it? Or so, yeah, I think it was 8 out of 11.
Something absurd like that.
Some absurd performance. Playing against Kovalyev, interesting player. Kovalyev actually qualified for the CGC, the Chess.com Global Championship, in a wicked turn of events, Daniel, where he'd qualified in the penultimate tournament, okay? And he qualified for the playoff, and his opponent did not turn up for the second, third place playoff. So he got a walk.
Who was his opponent?
I think it was Rasulov, if I remember correctly. And so we're going to see Kovalyev also in the Chess.com Global Championship, but trying his hand here. Don't think he has a shot. I don't recall seeing his name in the top 12. I think he's probably just playing for the love of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those kind of players, like when he's at his best, he can absolutely compete with Hikaru, Nepo. The problem is just that players like Vladislav lack consistency. Like I'm talking Fedoseev, that tier of player, like they're amazing when they're good, but their floor is a lot lower than someone like Hikaru. And Hikaru's in bad form. He just wins the RCC by half a point rather than 3 points. He maybe qualifies on third place rather than first. So that consistency week after week is so important.
Correct. Yeah. Consistency is actually one of the things that separates a lot of these players from a purely technical and skill-based perspective. A lot of them very, very similar. Nervous system, consistency, mental toughness, bounce back ability, all of these things which aren't actually chess related is actually what separates a lot of these guys, in my opinion. And a player like Kovalyev, very, very talented guy, just not consistent enough to really hang out with the top guys all the time. So if he were able to improve that, who knows? But this position here looks, well, I mean, I would take white here, but I'm not, in love yet. Knight G3 is the absolute standard move here. You want to follow up with Queen D3, Rook E1.
I like this bishop a lot, though. The bishop on B7, I think it's a very, very powerful bishop. Queen D3, maybe, yeah. And aim at H7, try to induce some weaknesses. Very symmetrical structure here, so hard to make any hard and fast comments about the position just yet. Queen D3 is on the board. And one important detail is that bishop takes f3 was, well, it wasn't impossible, but this is not checkmate because that knight on g3 is an excellent defender and can drop back to f1. Just an important thing to note in this position. h6, fearless by Jan, trusting in his knights.
Yeah, well, the knight covers h7, so it's not a huge deal. So I guess the question is, yeah, so but now rook e1, of course, is a different story because you can take and then take on g5 and you get 3 pieces for the queen, which would be massive for black. So you got to do something with this bishop.
Bishop back to d2 goes Kovalyev. And somehow Nepo still has 9 minutes on his clock.
So now you need a kind of, do you play g6 here as Nepo and just try and snuff out all of this stuff? Do you play moves like, does knight b, sorry, I beg your pardon, you can't play knight d5, you get mate, and he does play g6. So always go with your instinct. That's the moral of the story.
Nepo's the kind of guy who would go rook e1 and then queen a2 just to annoy his opponent. Watch that happen. No, h3 by Kovalyev. I think he's worried about that prospect. And if I may make a brief interlude, we are getting word that Sam Sevian, one of the RCC mainstays, is having a very rough second game as well. Remember, he lost the first game, and he's struggling in this game as well. He's getting destroyed. Look at this.
Yeah, this is pulverization. I mean, he's an exchange down, and his queen side is collapsing. He can't even play bishop e4 because his knight's hanging. So this is, for want of a better word, dodo territory for our boy Koinaviets. Is it Koinaviets?
Not sure. It sounds like a Russian word, but it's not. I mean, to my knowledge.
It's not, right? Because Sam has Armenian descent, doesn't he?
Right. But I'm not sure if he speaks. I'm pretty sure he speaks Armenian, so maybe it means something in Armenian. I think I looked it up once and didn't find anything. But in any case, I want to move to Hikaru's game for a hot second here because Alexander Bortnik has come to play. He's not just a guy who plays for a draw with the black pieces. He goes for everybody's throat, including Hikaru's. Look at this position.
Yeah, this is a very odd position to have the knights here like this. Very, very odd. But looks as though black is doing completely fine here. I mean, it's very unusual. I can't recall seeing something like this, actually. But black is stable. Yeah. And rook e1, okay.
Right.
All right. And what do you do here as black? What's the move? Is it a move like, does queen d5 achieve anything? Does taking on c5 actually enter the picture? Do you play something solid like bishop g6 simply and just kind of knight a4? Okay.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I think the first order of business for black is to make sure the knights are safe. And the second order of business is to make sure the king is safe. But as you mentioned, bishop g6 always exists when you need it to block the g file. Bishop d1, and the eval bar hates that move. And it's because of knight a takes c5. The knights defend each other.
Yeah, and Hikaru just had a little sort of, okay. He's kind of perplexed at this.
He's down on time.
It feels as though you should have a little initiative here as well. You've got both rooks on the king side. You've got your bishop there. You got your bishop. All your pieces are kind of on the right side of the board. But actually, this one bishop on f5 holds the position together. And so rook e3 is a very logical move.
Yeah, but I wouldn't trust the eval bar. +3 seems like way too drastic of an evaluation because I can see Hikaru.
Is that what it says?
It's +3.2 in black's favor.
My goodness.
which
Wow.
which would make it seem like black is up a piece, but black is only up a pawn.
Goodness me.
Now,
+3?
I would seriously consider eliminating this bishop. But then, for example, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop g6. Already white plays h4. And already there's storm clouds gathering around black. Maybe after h6, black is totally
But there's
fine.
there's also knight e4 there and knight takes c3, right, Danya?
Oh, yeah, there
Instead.
is. But this gets complicated. Queen f4. The knight c3, knight d5 with the fork. Geez, that knight is doing work. Okay, so
that horsey is putting in the hours, yes.
b6, a bit timid. h3. So both sides taking a bit of a intermission here to improve their position. This is still very complex. Anybody's game. Now, Fabiano Caruana is also locked in a crazy struggle against Benjamin Buck. I think Fabi's on the road to winning a second game.
Absolutely, yeah. Fabi, the Boxster, as we call him, is, he was in Chennai as well. A lot of these players, of course, representing their countries. And, Fabiano with basically a crushing. It looks maybe not crushing. Maybe black has got some practical chances here, but Fabia pawn up, black's king very exposed. This is a very clever decision, in my opinion, by Bok to try and go into a double rook ending, but Fabi's going to play rook f3 here.
He's going to play rook e1 here.
Thought rook f3 was quite logical and to then be able to activate, but rook e1 also looks perfectly reasonable to enter. Yeah, and Fabi's just going to win.
No, this is indefensible in the context of a blitz game. Yeah.
Correct.
And rook a3, rook e7 check, for instance, king g6. Although, it's never that clear cut because black's rooks aren't that passive either. Somehow I want to play h4 here, but anyways, Fabi's gonna win this.
Yeah, you tend to think that Fabi is just gonna find a way to make this king. Oof.
The crowd is jostling for the Bortnik game, and Hikaru is making a comeback. I mean, what else is new?
So what happened here? Okay,
so Bortnik traded a bunch of pieces. He took on d4.
Yeah.
Then he toured around and traded the other pair of knights, but that gives Hikaru this move d5. Oh, geez.
The idea being ed5, rook g3, and the bishop actually hangs.
Yeah, you lose the bishop.
Cute. Just lose the bishop. Okay.
So Bortnik is forced to allow this pawn to get to d6.
No. This is not what you want as black. The protected passer now is a real long-term thorn. You can see it on Bortnik's face. Past 10 moves or so have not gone in his favor. He's probably still okay, but playing these positions over the board are extremely, extremely tricky.
Psychologically, especially when you know that you've just been winning and now you have to deal with an unclear position.
Yeah.
It's so hard to adjust yourself. Okay. In other news, we have Garakamsky. Let's see how he's doing. He has half a point. And it looks like he's getting completely outplayed by Rinat Jumabayev. Yeah,
Jumabayev also was representing Kazakhstan at the Olympiad. Had a pretty decent tournament from what I remember. Rinat is actually one of those guys who I think is underrated quite substantially. Another guy who suffers with consistency, actually. Mm-hmm. But understanding-wise, great player. I remember watching him analyze in Spain once and thinking, wow, actually, this guy is quite serious. Doesn't surprise me that he's outplaying somebody of Gatta's quality. But Gatta's a very sticky guy, resourceful guy. E4 I like just to try and dislocate the white position a little bit, not allowing some kind of bind. But yeah, the position looks fishy.
Yeah.
What do you do though here as white? Where is the? I am
keeping an eye on the Hikaru game, by the way. I'm going to switch to it when it gets really interesting.
Okay.
But where is the actual win here? I mean, the pieces look nice, but yeah, Queen D4, maybe just a centralizing move of that sort could be interesting. Knight F4 by Renat. So he's trying to get rid of this knight. And ultimately, I think he's trying to get a queen to H6 or maybe a rook to the H file. Which is not as remote a possibility as one might think, because it comes pretty quick. Yeah, an interesting position. I'm afraid for Goddess Clock, though. I think Goddess going to lose this one.
Yeah, it's just an awkward position on top, right? Just no move here really streams out. The simplifications, I think, tend to help white. So yeah, this is not a particularly fun position for Gada. What do we have here?
Back to
in other news.
Rook takes D6, I think, might hold the draw for Bortnik.
Oh, wow.
It's a crazy position. Now, if you take the rook, you lose. You lose to queen takes D8. E4. E4 by Bortnik, opening up a pathway for his queen, and that's a genius move right there.
I love that move.
It prepares a perpetual queen A1 and queen E5. Active defense.
I absolutely love this move. Queen A1, queen E5 ideas. Actually, you've got to be a bit careful here. If the queen ever just picks up this pawn on D6, you can be much worse suddenly as white. So this might be bailout territory for Hikaru, and I don't know. He goes rook G3.
Okay, so I'm expecting queen A1 check and... Oh, wait, no.
No, then you drop the rook. Yes.
Bishop G6.
No, Bishop G6.
Apparently a mistake.
What?
And it's King H2 is the best move. Can you believe this? Hikaru is just outplaying Bortnik from this position.
No, it's just scary. What about E3 here? Does that move exist?
It does, and it's played. Bishop C4 instantly stopping the pawn of the bishop, division of labor. And black is just paralyzed. That's the ultimate problem. E5.
E5 I like. D7, and now if I go...
Crazy computer moves instantly. He's just a beast, Bishop E6.
Yeah, he's going to play that as well.
Bishop
B5, and that's... Oh, well, I was going to say, oh, Bishop B5, but now you can go E2, no?
But then I go Rook E3.
Yes, and then something like... yeah, you're still not able to actually... Bishop F5, sorry, E4, Rook E2, Bishop F5, does that... I'm trying to hold.
E2, Rook E3, Bishop F5, goes A6. I was thinking about that move, trying to distract the bishop from the pawn.
Yeah. No, this is a clever move. And now, E2, Rook E3, Bishop D3, followed by
then
E4
I just take on E5, though, because like, you're not threatening anything.
Excuse me.
No, it's over. This pawn is simply too strong. I mean, once that pawn reached D6, I think we all knew how this game was going to end. E4, last attempt by Bortnik to keep this rook confined, but just rook takes E2, and white is in absolutely no hurry.
Yeah, just impossible to play against guys who play like this.
No, it's an overwhelming force, and it's like he makes one little mistake. Occasionally, it's a glitch in the matrix, and then he's back to putting ridiculous pressure on you, even from a lost position.
Right.
Oh, apparently that was an inaccuracy, but Bortnik's too low on the clock. Rook D7.
He wants...
Oh, and Hikaru's blundered. He missed Rook G7.
He missed Rook G7. I can't believe it.
And Bortnik is back in the game, but he's got 30 seconds.
H5. Just go H5. Give your king some luft and play H4. Just go H5 and... Okay, Queen D3.
Another excellent defensive move.
Oh. Wow.
Rook G3.
Rook G3.
This is
Rook G3.
He's sitting.
This is an easy tactic.
How did he miss that?
Wow.
Wardnick did everything to save that game and then loses his mind.
But it's still, why is this losing?
Because Hikaru.
Something like rook d8, king g7, queen d2, covering the checks and threatening queen g5 check. Okay.
Queen f2 is absolutely correct. Now, if e3, you take the bishop and there's a mate on f8.
Wow, he missed it.
Oh, that is
it.
painful. Rook d8 is made in two.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's a really, and Fabiano, by the way, failed to win that endgame against Benjamin.
Wow. Goodness me.
And look at how crazy this game is. Oh, but look at Goddess Clock. Look at Goddess Clock.
Yeah. Goddess simply cannot.
I might actually prefer black here. I mean, look how active Goddess bishops are. White's king is wide open. If he had maybe 10 more seconds on his clock, I'd be voting for Gada here to win the game.
Totally agree.
Takes.
But unfortunately, 9 seconds is...
Oh, and he's escaped the checks.
That's well calculated.
White's also mating.
Yeah. Renat, too strong. Yeah.
Too strong, built different, and we've got only a couple of games still remaining. Crazy position in Paravian's game against Aydin Suleimanli. Look at this time scramble.
Yeah, this is going to be probably winning for White.
No clue who's playing. No, Suleimanli playing for a win.
Wow.
And he's going to promote, and he should be able to win this.
Oh,
whose internet is better? King C6 and Paravian pre-moving? Here they go.
Yikes.
Here they go. 1 second. Black can lose this. Black is going to lose this. Oh, and he doesn't mate. Oh my God. What a tragedy.
He had made
one move. And one square is all he had to move his queen.
Wow.
Oh, my lands. 10+0, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, that is... that's heartbreaking, huh? When you've got mate in one and you just can't get that mouse there to finish the job.
If you're me, you know what you do with that mouse. You take it and you just
launch it.
Bang it against the desk. Just bang, bang, bang.
How many mice have you gone through, Danya, in your career?
In my career, I mean, dozens.
Dozens of mice destroyed.
With that being said, it's been about 6 months since I've broken a mouse. So I'm on
that's fair enough.
I'm in recovery.
You're mellowing out in your old age, my friend.
I'm going to Mouse Breakers Anonymous meetings, and I'm slowly, I'm mellowing out in my old age. Couldn't have phrased it any better. Ooh, Jospam against Hikaru, heavy hitters facing off in round
massive 3. Massive game. Let's bring up the standings again after where we're at. So after 24 weeks of the main thing before we get to the opening here, you can see Jospam, Jose Martinez on 38 points. So he needs to, to do really well here.
Draw, Berlin draw.
Have we got a Berlin draw? Wow. Well, this is a good result for Jospam. This is clever. This is clever.
No, I like that decision.
Yeah. He goes for the full scoring line.
I mean, you're playing Hikaru, right? And yes, you're playing white, but remember, this is the Saturday Swiss. You need to qualify for the top 8, not, get 9 out of 9. So totally understandable. We've got Wesley against Oparin in a rouser.
Yeah, the rouser is one of those openings which can either go very well or very badly. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground with it. I've been playing the rouser for a few years. Terrible. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, same.
No, I mean, it looks all beautiful. Like you get these double pawns, and you get these good central control, and it looks like you've got dynamic play, and then you realize fundamentally your position is toast. You got a random pawn on h5 that drops off. White defends against the attack, and you lose an ending.
Right.
That's how rousers work. Shout out to all my rouser players out there. Like Wesley is going to do, like, let's just watch how Wesley, takes this rouser apart. I'm very curious.
How he massages this position to death. Well, and here he goes, preparing G4. His first sally is going to be with a pawn. He's going to drive it up the board and try to provoke weaknesses on the king side. Oparin must use the B file. And the move D5, very, very typical in such positions. It opens up the bishop. Black's attack is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
So.
D5. You've got this big central mass in this position, and obviously the open B file. But Wesley doesn't really get phased by such things. It feels he just goes G4, bishop B4. You go Queen 6 F6, HG. He goes Rook G4 again, just showing the difference that I didn't actually consider Rook G4 there in a blitz game.
Well, it makes a lot of sense now because the 8th rank is weakened. What does that mean? It means the move G5 comes with far greater effect because after FG, you have to reckon with a check on H8. That's very smart. Man, Wesley's pretty good at this game. So what does Oparin do? How does he stoke the flames on the king side? Queen A5 is also possible. You could get into an endgame. He plays pawn A5, and the eval bar doesn't like that move.
Yeah, it's a very difficult move to criticize because it's like the pawn on A6 is hanging, so big deal. But yeah, A3 is a really nice defensive move here by Wesley. So you just cover the B4 square. And now then this is exactly the point I'm talking about. Like in these rousers, it looks like you've got everything under control, but you really don't. A move like G5 may come, and Queen H8 check ideas are there. White hasn't even completed development yet. He can simply play Bishop E2.
Rook H1.
Maybe Rook H1 and Rook H8.
Hello, king side.
It's like, where are you putting this king as black? I mean, this position is, I can promise you this, Oparin is thinking, I hate my position. There's just no way.
For sure. No, but I think he has to trade queens. I was opening my mouth to say I like A4. I think this sets up.
It's not even a threat, right? Bishop E2, Queen A5, Bishop takes F6.
Yeah, but then I take on C3. I thought maybe take on A3, and the reason maybe he put the pawn on A4 is because now Black has this very nice threat of Bishop takes E2 and A3.
But Rook H1, you are just about getting King E7 or what? G5.
Yeah, King E7, G5, but that I can deal with. I think in an endgame, Black can deal with the threats. So my guess is Wesley, King A1. Oh, and he prevents Bishop takes A3. Gosh, you mentioned it, Lawrence, prophylactic moves when you're attacking. How many people just close their eyes and go G5? Tons.
Yeah, exactly.
But Wesley, just the discipline to prevent Black's only idea. You know how annoying this is for Oparin? I mean, that's why playing Wesley is such a nightmare.
Yeah,
me,
honestly, I think Wesley is one of the most terrifying players out there. He never seems to get in a kind of tricky spot. Even players higher rated than him, if we think Jan Nepomniachtchi or Firouzja, they often land themselves in awkward spots. But Wesley never really seems to be under massive strain, or very, very rarely in comparison. And again, this is one of those positions, and you just trust Wesley's going to find something. It's quite extraordinary, really. I think he's a massive asset for a team, actually, in terms of just he racks up points and he's difficult to beat. He's really, for me, a fundamental part of the US team.
He's incredible. The first time I played him, I was an IM. I was a strong IM. It was 2012 tournament in Montreal. He was 2690, so on the cusp of super GMdom. And by the way, F5, Queen F4, the position starts to complicate. F5 might not have been the most accurate, but bottom line was that we got into a completely equal endgame. I thought, I'm playing white. draw against a good player. 10 moves later, I was completely lost. And I was just blinking, and I could not wrap my head around what had happened for the entire tournament. That is the magic of Wesley. But I love what Oparin is doing here. He's not going gentle into that good night. He's sticking a queen right in White's grill. Take C6.
Yeah, absolutely.
C6. Oh, bishop D3, another sleek move. Can't take the knight because of the check. Can Black take
so
the
bishop
pawn?
D3.
Probably not.
No. So what do you do here with Black? Does D4 exist? King D8.
Certainly does. D4, knight takes D4. And then again, bishop D6.
Right.
I would go king T8 again. I would rely on prophylaxis here to take the sting out of this idea of bishop G6. I think Grigori is playing king D8. That's a Grigori type of move. And then Wesley's
so
go
king
rook F1.
Yeah, rook F1. Okay.
But the position complicated, but all right. Yeah, by the way, like almost nobody with a perfect score already after this round. There's only a couple 2 out of 2s. Vahap Sanal was 2 out of 2, also made a draw. So there is also Castor, that's the Chilean player Rodrigo Vasquez, who actually qualified into a Sunday knockout. So he is nobody to sneeze at. Completely outplaying Vincent Keimer right now.
Yeah, I mean, great player as well. Castor, being around the block as Mr. Castor, feels like he's a bit of an OG in the online streets. Vincent Keimer, not the, let's say, somehow it feels as though 10-minute games aren't really suited to him. I don't know why. Incredibly strong classical player, but as a blitz player, I think he's got a way to go.
I think it's like the Lecco school, just emphasis on classical, emphasis on super positional play. But in blitz, that style doesn't. Now, again, we're talking here in relative terms. Obviously, Vincent is an amazing blitz player. No question about it, over 2,900chess.com. But we're comparing him to the likes of, Firouzja and other young phenoms who are incredible at blitz. Ooh, speaking of incredible at blitz, 95. Try that on for size.
Wow, that is a bit of a humdinger. Did I speak too soon? Maybe it just doesn't work. ED
takes. Oh, so you take B7 first, but at the end of all of this brouhaha, Black is just like, oh, sorry, not here. First you take. First we feast, and then DC and B5. So sadly, this is not going to achieve its desired effect.
No.
And this does not take long for Vasquez to just call him out on it.
And this is another thing that happens nowadays that people may not be consciously aware of, which is that, years ago, Daniel, when, I was young and full of beans, as so to speak, we got put off by positions that looked scary. We just didn't really go into. We were just told, you don't want to do this. And nowadays, it's either it works or it doesn't. And it's almost like, I feel like even Fabiano might have been one of the people at the front of this, basically just playing very principally and just either it works or it doesn't. Either concretely moves like knight d5, either it works, and it doesn't matter if it looks scary or not. You test it. And the kids nowadays, they go into positions which you just didn't feel like you could play like that, and now they just play it. It's very annoying as somebody who's a bit of a hacker. They don't believe you anymore when it looks scary.
That's 100% true. It's like bluffing in chess, the role of bluffing, and there's still a role to be played for bluffing, but it has been tremendously downsized. Whereas in the 50s and 60s, you could see, you know, the tall like sacrifice is just causing people to collapse into a heap and start crying, you know, without even calculating any variations. Wesley, by the way, in the meantime, has managed to gain the upper hand. I mean, look how quickly this is deteriorating. It's +6, like 2 seconds after we stopped looking.
Yeah, I mean,
Oparin's totally busted here.
Bustovich, yeah. Rook f6, 94 is good. Queen f2, no. 94, bishop c6.
Yep.
So where is the rook f2? Simply retreating, but okay, machine didn't like it so much, but nothing wrong with this move.
No, but now knight c4 and knight e5.
Oh, queen e5.
There's no way to stop. Ooh. No, queen e5, queen d1.
Queen d1, knight b1.
Wow, that's a cool line.
And
knight
queen
c4.
Okay, also bishop d5.
You were definitely right. That was definitely Goodbye.
That's it. King d8, queen a5.
Game, set, match.
Yeah.
Just bang. And of course, king f7, knight e5 ends the game. King e8, knight d6. It all comes together beautifully. And Oparin resigns. Jeez.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we have Fabi, we have Jan. Jan's position is crazy. I'm struggling to understand what's happening here. Who is even playing for a win? Probably a draw.
I would say, yeah, maybe you just bail out here because, well, king a3, no more checks.
I think at a minimum, black has rook h8.
Yes, played.
And Jan has to be, I suppose, very precise here, because if you go knight g8, then black takes and only black can win this position. Black is simply up a pawn, and Jan might not hold this. Is there some hidden move here? Oh, so you want to hear something crazy?
Go for it.
Apparently the move is c4. So you just don't do anything, and black cannot improve his position because you can never play h4. This is simply checkmate.
Oh.
So
wow.
Will Jan
so black is in
that?
black is in some kind of mini Zugzwang after c4.
That's exactly what, yeah. I mean, g4 might be the only move, but that creates weaknesses. So it gets very complicated there.
And then what do you do against g4? Do you just go king a4 and just, again, kind of pass?
I think at that point you have knight d... No, not knight d7, but yeah, that's a good question. Practically, it looks very unpleasant for white. Jan goes g4, which is also possible.
Yeah.
So h4 is going to happen, I would presume. Also, the time situation. David is under a minute.
Yeah.
He's got to make a move here. Knight d7, queen g7. Oh, he missed mate in one.
Missed mate in one. My goodness.
Oh, God. Oh, Jan is so tricky. Did you see how he set that up? That's why he played g4.
Oh, my goodness.
Queen e8, and black is totally fine. Queen f6 check, king h7. And I suppose it's a perpetual. Or, I mean, white is the one who has to be careful here. Holy cannoli. What a win for Jan.
Amazing.
And one of the last games we have is Fabi against Vladislav Kovalyev, 1.5 out of 2. He's hanging around here in the early going of the tournament.
Yeah. You know, this is better for black.
One would think, because white's pawns are so weak and the material is equal. Check on e5 by Fabi. Now he's... See, the problem is if you go back to e4, you run into g5. And white loses. I didn't like the check. I think Fabi's going to lose this game.
Yeah, I hated this, and the split pawns here really don't do justice.
But white can take it.
You can take and draw? No.
Takes. That's what Fabi is calculating. He doesn't do it. So maybe
no, it's impossible. But you think this now you've got 3 protected passes. Rook F2 is good. G5.
Crazy.
Rook A1.
King B7.
King B7. Yes.
Eval bar showing zeros. Yeah, but this is labyrinthine. King C5, G4. Black has only one approach, which is just to push his pawn. Yeah, how does white draw this? Like G3, G2 is coming. Is there some hidden resource? King C6. Fabi trying to go after black's king.
Dropped like a stone.
Well,
but if nothing. Yeah, this is just one check. And
now you.
What's happening to Fabi, Daniel? Let's talk to you very quickly here. He's, for the first time, many people may or may not know, I was Fabi's manager for a short while, about 6 years ago. Actually, more than a short while. It was around 2 to 3 years, all in all, unofficially. Very, very good friends with Fabi. He is, for the first time, going through a crisis in his chess career. His ascent was phenomenal. He had that amazing 2014 Sinkfield Cup run, got to 2850, played a world championship match, nearly won the 2016 candidates. Something's happened. Can you explain, in your opinion, what's happened with Fabi?
Well, my sort of stock boilerplate answer to this kind of question is generally that people always crave a one-factor answer. I think for people like one-factor explanations for anything, but it has to be a combination of things, one of which is obviously the self-fulfilling nature of it, where you get into the here we go again mode. And every subsequent bad result is just sort of more evidence that you're in the slump, and it's self-perpetuating. But I also think maybe part of it is a lack of motivation. I feel like Fabi, midway through the candidates, once he realized that didn't really have chances for first, as we watch Benjamin and Sergei Azarov in this time scramble, I just feel like he lost his heart. He really, really wanted to play Magnus again. He really wanted that chance. He came so close. People seem to forget that. I mean, Fabi's match against Magnus really receded into back of people's memory, but it was tied going to the last game. Imagine if Fabi with the white pieces got an advantage in the last game. Like, he was that close. He was within one game. And I think that really stings at him. And having not qualified once again, I think Fabi really lost his spirit, so to speak. So maybe that has to do with it as well. But I'm total speculation, obviously.
And that obviously carried through to the Olympiad, where he had a very, very poor Olympiad.
Yeah, it was sad to see, honestly. It was just, and he's losing so many games with white, too, which is so uncharacteristic for him.
It's going to be a big challenge for Fabi to get back, basically. While this is an easy win for Champ against Matlikov. This is rudimentary stuff. Should be, I think, at least.
Yeah, but Matlikov is lagging? No, he's fine. No, this is easy. King F7, King F6, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
King F7, King
easy
E8, and
win
E7. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And plenty of time to do it. Okay, King E6, build the bridge. And it's over. And that was the last game of the round, which means it is time for our first traditional break. 3 rounds of 9 are in the books. This is the final week of the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We hope that you are enjoying the coverage thus far. Do not go anywhere. Round 4 will begin in just a couple of moments. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. 3 rounds are in the books. This is the final week. Everybody's playing. Wesley So and Rodrigo Vasquez are the only ones remaining with a perfect score. They face each other. Daniel Naroditsky, Lawrence Trent, bringing you coverage of this final week of the RCC. And what more can we ask for, Lawrence? 3 out of 3, 3 out of 3. And if Wesley wins this game, you just get the sense that he's going to be a runaway train this tournament.
Yeah, he's just a phenomenal player. Made it even look easy in that last game when things looked tricky. But he won't risk it too much. He's played the Berlin. Really depends what Castor wants to do. He decides to go for an anti-Berlin.
Applause. He doesn't go for the draw.
There you go. So very mainline stuff. Wesley has tons of experience, both with white and black, of course, in this position.
Yeah, bishop takes c6.
And Castor playing one of the most well-known lines. h3 is fine. And queen e7, all been played tons of times.
Yeah, this is a tremendously well-studied position, knight c3. I mean, every piece configuration has been played, has been studied. Bishop takes e3, bishop d6, bishop b4. I mean, everything is possible, but I know Wesley likes to put the bishop on d6. This is like the fashionable way of playing, and one of the ideas is to quickly clamp down in the center with a move c5, making it virtually impossible for white to break through with d4.
Right.
And queen e2, and I'm expecting at some point the move c5.
Yeah, so for example, if white castles queenside here, which your hand certainly might want to push it that way, c5 will come to prevent d4. Because I think if white gets in a timely d4, he's doing well. I wonder if you can play d4 immediately. Okay, a3 played instead.
Castles queenside, There we go. Now, this pawn on h3 might seem totally insignificant, but it's actually not. If white castles kingside, that pawn acts as a terrible, terrible hook. And once black pushes the pawn to g4, I mean, white, you can administer the last rights. It's over. So that's not an option. But now the other pawn, Lawrence, is also a hook. So if you castle queenside, there's the bishop takes a3 sack you have to reckon with. So here's d4.
There is d4. And is Wesley just going to take knight d4 and then just play something calm like bishop d7? But then it feels as though white has achieved something. e4 on the board.
Yes,
bishop d4 is playable and played.
And played indeed. Threat is obviously e5. Wesley has to devise a response to that. Bishop c5 comes to mind. Yeah, bishop c5 actually looks sleek.
See, I was about to say, what about just c5?
Accompanied with a draw offer.
Well, I think he's taking this draw off.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll be very surprised. No, he says no.
He just doesn't care. I mean, he's so experienced. He's not afraid of anybody. His Castor.
Wow.
But Wesley's not. I mean, it's a little bit odd to decline the draw against Wesley in a position like this. 2 bishops again. I would take black here despite the bet pawn structure because the 2 bishops are very nicely placed in the center. I don't know about this, Lawrence. Usually I mean, this is commendable, but is it wise?
I don't know. It feels a little bit loosey-goosey to me, but you do still have control of some key squares. I'm not sure how bad it is for black, honestly speaking.
Queen 3, queen c7.
I mean, does f5 exist? Queen c7? F5, e5, I'm blundering, excuse me. Queen c7 I like.
King b1. I mean, there's going to be a
What about just something like b6 here, Daniel, to put the king on b7, consolidate the structure?
I mean, I think we're going to see something to that effect. We're going to see slow improving chess for the next 10, 15 moves. Maybe h5 is going to happen at some point to liberate the rook because you want to bring... Oh, there it is. But I feel like Wesley's going to start out playing Rodrigo here. I just get that feeling that this is a Wesley type of position. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And now, but why can't I go e5 here?
Why can't you go e5 here? I think it just moves the bishop back.
Yeah, but then I've managed to like get some, and now I play something classy like knight e2 and put the knight on f4. Knight e2, bishop d5. I have to be careful because
that's the thing.
e5 is.
Yeah, e5 is giving away the square on d5.
Okay, so h4. Okay, this is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, now bishop d5 is, of course, still possible, but I wouldn't necessarily abandon the f5 pawn like this. What to do for black here? Rook he8 is also possible. So again, one of those cagey positions where both sides have to try to slowly improve their position. e5, or I guess not so slowly.
Well, this is one of those moves that's obviously you play happily in a game of blitz, and in a game of classical you think about it twice, right? But here with the pawn mass and the fact that the bishop can sneak out to b6 or a5, I kind of like it actually. But the computer is not impressed. Knight g5.
Okay. Doesn't really create any threats per se. So maybe a move like king b7 would be in Wesley's style.
Yeah.
Oh, played. Yeah, he's just
now
he's so comfortable in these positions.
Yeah.
Although the
now White has to be a little bit careful because actually ideas of c4, a5, b4, maybe there might be some knight a4. You've got to be a little bit careful how you organize it. But this pawn mass, you start to open files on the queen side here. Like I expect c4 here. It feels intuitively to give the bishop some room as well. But again, I don't know.
Wow,
I would be very tempted. Or bishop b6, rook d4.
Yeah, play down the d file. Maybe White wants to throw in queen f3 and set up the threat of knight takes b5. Also, we shouldn't fall asleep on the h5 pawn because in the event of queen f3, you could create a situation where either White gets control of the d file or White wins the h5 pawn. So here, I think queen f3 could be actually very, very unpleasant for Black. Let's watch. Wow, the eval bar creeping up in White's favor. Oh, queen f3 is b4. Oh, queen f3, there's b4.
Why b4?
Because I want to play bishop d5. So he takes it first. And I think now he's going to play queen f3 and get control of the d file. And he does. And if Black plays b4 now, then maybe knight b5 and knight d6 check.
Wow, he let it happen.
He let it happen, and
he wants queen a2.
Queen a2, which is very scary, by the way, for Black, for White. No, but I think knight b5. If we look concretely, queen a2, knight d6 check, and I have simply an escape square on d2. Rodrigo is outplaying him, and he plays it.
Yeah.
And Wesley, I think, completely forgot that once the knight lands on d6, it cuts off the rook, which means the king has an easy escape square on d2, and you can play queen b3 there to force a favorable queen trade. Oh, my lands.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on Rodrigo now.
I'll be honest, I was fully expecting a Wesley type of positional grind, but Rodrigo's doing a Wesley on Wesley. He's giving him a taste of his own medicine so far. Maybe bishop c7, maybe it's time to admit that your strategy has failed.
Nothing worse than admitting that you're wrong in chess, Daniel.
One of the worst
Nothing
feelings.
worse.
Yeah, no, it's honestly the ego.
Especially
takes
those times where you make a move and you have to go exactly back to the previous square on the very next move, and you just want to put that little dunce hat on and say, "Excuse me for being such a dunce."
Yeah, my old coach Grigory Kaidanov would call that saying sorry.
Yeah,
it's never easy to say sorry.
Exactly.
Wesley says sorry. Bishop c7 is practically speaking the only serious defensive chance. Okay, so what does white do now? AB.
Sensible.
Now, queen a2 is possible now that the bishop on c7 covers the d6 square. In fact, I think it makes more sense than it did on the previous move. You know what I'm saying?
And then does he want to go knight d6?
But then bishop takes.
E takes. And then queen a1 and rook takes d6.
Check and then take, and I start hunting your king.
And we might be losing.
So after queen a2,
we can take with the rook.
Queen a3.
Daniel, in that line, sorry, we've got rook d6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily,
but then maybe takes and rook d8 somehow, and black starts to complicate the game. Oh, BC, yeah. So I guess I have to play CB. Well, let's see. Let's see what he does, because queen a2 is on the board.
Okay.
I was originally thinking queen a3 would follow, but the engine apparently doesn't like that move. Probably just because of queen takes a3 and CB, and black is all right in the endgame. The g3 pawn is also a long-term weakness that white should be careful about. He's offered another draw. Now, this is interesting. A second draw offer by Wesley. And this one is also declined.
Knight c3.
Whoa.
Very interesting move. His idea is queen a1 check, knight b1.
It's the top
and
move.
Then if c takes... Sorry?
It's the top move.
Yeah, so queen a1, knight b1. cb4, and now queen b3, precisely.
And you're aiming at these two
this
pawns.
is a great, well spotted.
This has been phenomenally executed by Vasquez. Let's see how he follows this up, though. The position remains very complex. CB is going to happen, and then queen b3 must be his idea. But the reason I remain optimistic about Wesley's chances is because the bishop is going to make an appearance on b6, and it's going to threaten to move into e3. White's king is not going to be safe for a very long time in this game. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, what is Wesley thinking about? CB is forced. Or is there something I'm missing? Yeah, CB played. There's queen b3. And I'm guessing bishop b6 is what we're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
No, back to a5.
Okay.
And can white just snag that pawn on f7?
Snap on f7?
I don't see why not. And probably neither does Vasquez.
He should take this pawn.
And he should do it quickly because he's down to 320. Yeah, maybe he's trying to figure out, like, does Wesley have something in his pocket? But no, he doesn't. Wow. Queen c5. Can you grab on f5? I mean, it's a very hard move to play because queen e3 check looks scary, but I think after knight d2, there's nothing concrete.
Yeah, I would take on f5 here.
Back to b3
does
instead.
not.
And that
trying to keep control.
Apparently.
But okay, knight d2.
Yeah, but
knight d2.
This position has lost a lot of its luster. Like bishop b6. Oh, and
maybe
a4.
rook
a8. No, he goes rook d4.
Knight f3.
A4.
Oh
A4.
My goodness!
And your idea, Lawrence, is
rook a8.
And then rook takes d1 first.
And rook a8.
First, even a check. Or no.
Really?
Rook a8 first. Rook a8 first. check and
Check.
devastating
And queen
check on
F2.
F2. This is happening.
Oof.
He's blundered it, and Wesley's going to win. And look at how quickly he sees it. White has missed queen F2 check in that line. Oh, this is going to be a cold shower. And Wesley wins the game. Queen F2 check, driving the king out and losing all of his pieces. Damn, what a frustrating game. I mean, he outplayed Wesley in the middle game. Flat out.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Heartbreaking. Now it really is the Wesley So show, I think, after that. When he offers 2 draws and his opponent declines, he ends up winning. Let's go to Hikaru, though.
It's over.
Should be winning, but technical difficulties.
Classic Hikaru situation. Up a pawn in the end game, up 3 minutes on the clock. No chances. Just 0. For a second, I thought this was mate, but then I realized the king says b4. So no shenanigans here. And 38 seconds. This is game.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael Adams is playing also. And is on 2.5 out of 4. Somebody to watch as well. Michael Adams. Your
Mickey? Where is Mickey?
He's on 2.5 out of 4. He's tied for 11th.
Oh, there he is. GM Mickey Adams. You're right. Mickey not playing the British Championships, which is taking place as we speak.
As we speak, I was looking at the games.
Yeah. And some upsets already in the first round, it seems, in the British Championships, as you would expect.
I'm always interested in Mark Hebden's games, just because he's a King's Indian player.
Yeah, he managed to escape today a completely bust position. Typical Mark.
Not surprised at all. We're watching Grishuk here.
Grishuk probably walks his king, but it feels like the sort of position that should end up being a draw, but okay.
But okay, with 55 seconds, okay, maybe it is a little bit difficult, yeah, but okay. No, but I think he will save it. Yeah, 4 and okay. Draw. This is total draw, yeah, position draw.
Yeah.
Take G3, King G5. Yeah.
King G5.
It's very good. Yeah.
It's okay, King D5, Knight A5, Knight A5, yes.
Let's watch Fabi, because this game is obviously just a draw. Fabi is scuffling big time, and Azarov is somebody that people might be a little bit less familiar with, but he's a beast. Sergei Azarov is a beast, especially with white. He plays 1e4 every time, and not someone you want to mess with in like an open Sicilian. Okay, 95 check. 95 check.
Who would you take here? Black in a blitz game, or would you take white here?
I would take black after 95 specifically. I don't know why Fabi's not playing it. Am I missing something?
No.
Now take G2. What does white do after rook takes G2? Because you can't take with a rook due to knight G6 with a fork. So I'm not really seeing it for Sergei. Oh, maybe rook E3.
Okay, hated it.
But I see the
check.
Check. That was accurate. King has to go to G5.
And now H3. No, sorry, I beg your pardon.
No, I think H3 is right.
Really?
Okay, but now the B pawn's going to decide the game.
Or this, rook A2, rook F1.
No, maybe not over yet. King G2.
No. Bishop H4, what an odd move. He wants King G2, Bishop E1.
He also wants Fabi to take. This is a trick.
Tricky guy, Sergei.
5, King G2
King
back.
G2.
It's still a game. Bishop back to G3. There comes the B pawn. Rook E2 is forced. No, D7.
No, D7. Yeah, this looks like a mistake.
Bishop E5.
Huge mistake. Yeah, but he's down on time and he's got no shot.
No, B2 even. Yeah. B5 last.
All right, Fabi keeping pace.
Yeah, Fabi with a big win here. I mean, he had 1.5 out of 4. So this is, or 1.5 out of 3. It was on 50%. Now he's going to be on 2.5 out of 4. That's a respectable score. Puts him very much still in the thick of things. So Wesley and Hikaru, how much do you want to bet will make a Berlin draw? Whoever color has which color, it doesn't matter. Wesley with white will make a Berlin draw. With black will make a Berlin draw.
Yeah, and they've had probably how many of these Berlin draws over the past 3 years? More than 5?
Over a dozen. Yeah, no, I think more than 5. Yeah, I would say it's something like a dozen.
It's kind of unfortunate, but it's just the reality of the situation of the tournament. And obviously, 2 guys that are very, very similar in level and want a free game and 20 minutes to kind of prepare.
It just, the players, I always remind fans, the players, they do what the tournament situation demands of them. And that's what we want, right? We don't want a situation where they sacrifice. It is a sport after all, and we are watching a sport, and it's more interesting when the players do anything to win in the grand scheme of things. Now let's watch. If he plays E4, it's going to be a Berlin.
Let's see.
Yeah, Berlin.
Oh boy.
I'm closing my eyes. I'm not even looking at the game.
All right.
The game?
I'll tell you when it's over, okay? I'll tell you when it's... Oh no! Bishop C4!
He played an Italian.
Oh, we've got a game, boys.
We do.
Wow.
Now, where did that come from?
Goodness me.
So Wesley's logic might just be that, okay, he's playing white. Wesley offered a draw, though, and Hikaru declines it. But Hikaru
well, I mean, Wesley, if you wanted a draw, you could play Bishop B5. You play Bishop C4 and then offer it. Oh my God.
That's lame. At least do it properly, like 2 real, gents in a Berlin. Don't just play it Italian. Tempt us with the prospect of a game and then give us a draw. Ridiculous. This is honestly very, very disappointing. They should be kicked out of the tournament for this dastardly behavior.
All right, we've got Jan Nepomniachtchi playing against Jospin. Jospin's still very much in with a shout.
Wait.
Of course, remember, guys, that they're not playing for points today. They're playing in order to qualify and get the points tomorrow. We have a Petrov line that is extremely fashionable.
Yes,
and especially this one. Jan Nepomniachtchi has played tons of games recently, games in the candidates, games in the Olympiad, and Jan just trying to recall his preparation. Looks like a very dangerous line, and I wouldn't like to be Jospin here after D5.
The only thing is that Jan is white here, and he's mostly played this with black, which makes him even more dangerous with white because he's aware of what's correct and what's not. And there are still, I mean, if Jocelyn did his homework, he would know this line because there's still a bunch of games here. Knight C6, Bishop D5. I still see 4 games in the database. And I think Jan is banking on the fact that he's got a monster bishop. This looks pretty pleasant for white, I have to say.
Yes. But I always manage to squander these sorts of positions.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's hard.
It
95 maybe, but then the queen can slide into E4. Yeah, 95 one game, queen C7 one game, rook A E8 has been played. So there's a big fork in the road here.
I think I would, queen C7 is perfectly fine, of course, and there's just a little bit of bites missing here for white. I feel there's just not a kind of, I don't know. Do you go G3? Do you go H3?
Pizzazz. H4. Speaking of pizzazz, there's some pizzazz for you. H2, H4.
Makes total sense.
H5, having said A. We must say
Having
B.
said A, one must say B.
Indeed. But what if Black stops him in his tracks? I guess Jan's long-term idea is that after Black plays H6, the battery, if White is able to construct it, is going to be a lot stronger. Instructive idea, by the way, because then the move G6 is going to be a lot harder to play. Knight, Eric 5.
Queen F,
Eric.
Queen E4, yes.
And Rook F, Eric 8 makes some sense, but it doesn't actually.
Rook E8, Rook E1.
Anything. Oh, shit. And then you're going to play F4.
Well, I might do. I'm going to certainly tease you with it.
No, but the worst thing is that there's no discovery. So H6 makes sense. Dropping the bishop back to Eric 3. What does Black do? Black is kind of stuck in molasses here. You know what I like? It's just Black's pieces look okay, but where do you go with them? And in the meantime, White's rerouting the bishop to D4,
right,
bringing the rook to E1 as you suggested. This could get really, really bad really quickly.
Yeah, totally agree.
I would consider the move King H8 here to free up the F pawn. I don't know.
Yes. My hesitation was, I think, acceptable because, yeah, but I'm warming. King H8, do I be clever and go Queen F5 there, Daniel, and just prevent F5 and threaten Bishop E4?
No, absolutely. That was unpleasant. Knight C4 looks artificial, but understandable. Bishop D4, there is the prospect of a fork, and Jose offering a draw. Jan is 100% not taking this. He declines it. Jan actually took the time to click the decline button. So there's no ambiguity.
Can you not play bishop takes H6? That's the question. Does it exist, Danya, here? Can we play bishop takes H6? Surely that's what Jan is calculating.
Don't call me Shirley. No, it must be. GH, Queen G6 check, the classic idea. He's played it. Oh, and Lawrence, just bishop takes C4 at a minimum. You just take
no, this is over.
Bishop E4 is perhaps even stronger.
Oh, that's cute. F5, bishop D5, the switchback.
Back we go. No, so Jose cannot take this bishop. That bishop is poisonous. Queen G6.
And yeah, Queen. This is over.
There's a beautiful line. Queen G6, bishop E5, bishop takes G7, H6, and then you just casually take the knight on C4 and then pick up the bishop. Oh, yes, Jocelyn took on H6. It's over. Bishop. If Nepo finds bishop E4, you can resign.
Okay, Nepo easily finds bishop E4, number one.
Child's play. He's got an hour on the clock, so.
He plays this in a classical game in 3 minutes. Okay.
Wait.
He gives the checks. He wants to go H6, perhaps, does he?
I don't know about this. Okay, King H7 gets made. I have no idea what Jose is thinking about. King H7 made in 4. Bishop E4, Queen G5, Queen H6, Queen H7.
So he's going to go King G8, Bishop takes C4. Yeah, and then importantly, Bishop E5, you've still got Queen G6 check, King H8.
No, but
then you've got Queen H6.
But I'm not convinced. Like Bishop C4, Queen C4, is that easy? Like Black takes on C3.
Yeah,
it is shocking. The king is too open. Nepo missed Bishop E4. This was
no. I think the king is too open there.
But this line, like Rook E1, Rook E6, Rook G6, is just a game.
Right.
So Nepo does go for the Bishop C4 line, yes, but I think I'm more hopeful than you are as to Black's chances here. Queen F4.
This could be a very clever move because if it forces the queen trade and C3 hangs, but there's one factor in this position. Jan is 3 minutes up on the clock. That's a lot. That's a lot when you've got the advantage and the opposite color bishops.
Yeah, queen f4, bishop d5 at a minimum, and he's going to win that. 2 pawns up, 3 minutes up. He's going to grind Jose down there. God, that's such a tough pairing for Jocelyn. Black against Nepo in a pivotal moment of the tournament. We also have... Actually, we can stick to this game. We have Fabiano Caruana. Maybe we can briefly check in because he's in a fascinating position against Yakuboyev, I think this is. Up a piece currently, but he's losing it.
And Fabi with nightmares against the Uzbeks, right? Lost to Abdusattorov, is that right? In the Olympiad, if I remember correctly. Or am I going
that was
nuts?
a hard... No, you aren't. That was a heartbreaking game where excellent opening preparation, but just couldn't deliver. Knight takes e5. What a move. Bishop takes e5. Oh, at least you can give this check on f6. That's his idea. And this is going to be a draw. This game is going to end in a draw. This is a draw. I mean, opposite colored bishops, of course. So something like this is likely to happen. No, he played bishop takes e4, takes f5 and bishop g4. Oh, okay.
Okay.
What does black do here?
But why is this equal? Sorry.
Yeah, why is black not... First of all, why is white not winning?
Wow.
Bishop f4.
Threatening mate?
Okay, so a3.
And why is white not...
Oh, rook c1 and e5. He's getting out of it.
Queen e5?
And black is
Fabi's blown it.
Fabi's blown it again. Queen g6 even might be enticing here as well. I mean, Yakuboyev has plenty of time. Queen, but it's not over because white's going to play d6. Like, this is still complicated.
Yes, it is.
This is still very, very complicated.
Maybe there, Danya, is it weird to go bishop g5?
After queen e5, d6?
Yeah, to try and put the bishop on d8.
No, it's not weird at all. I think it's totally natural. Bishop g5. But apparently this loses.
There you go.
I think I understand why. Takes d7. Force your queen to d8. And now queen e3 with a 4.
And queen e3.
So the move is queen b5 here. That is not an easy move to find at all.
That's a super tough move.
It's the perfect sound effect for that move. The point is that the bishop is perfectly capable of stopping the pawn. You just need to get the queens off the board. Right. Will he find it? Oh, almost. But not quite.
So this move here has a similar idea in terms of trying to keep some control.
Wild position. Absolutely wild position. Bishop c7.
Similar idea, just executed much better, of course.
So black is sort of stuck. I mean, black must keep both pairs of eyes on the promotion square as long as white's queen is on d3. b4, I guess the queen can drop back to b6.
b6.
And that probably makes it worse for white.
Tough spot for Fabi.
I'm also keeping an eye on Nepo's game. Nepo seems to be sort of milking the clock and grinding him down. Not much has changed. We'll switch to that game if it gets exciting. But this game seems to be the exciting one right now. Fabi is thinking. Big moment. Not sure what to do. I don't see how white improves his position. 96 is his choice.
Yeah, I was looking at this move, and I quite like it. Now
So-
you have to be a little bit careful as black. Something as rudimentary as knight takes b7 and d8 equals queen might exist here.
And it's easy to miss that kind of stuff when there's so much to keep track of. So if you take it, does Fabi want something as crazy as, no, never mind. So he hasn't taken, he's gone rook e1.
Rook e1.
Oh, and he's
Looks
missed
weird.
it. He has missed the
Yeah,
exact
I
thing we
mean,
just talked about. He blundered knight takes
surely
b7.
Surely that's good. And Fabi
my
plays it.
Goodness, what a turnaround. Queen b5 and black is winning. Knight takes b7 and white is winning. d8 queen, you trade queens, and the pawn majority on the queen side should decide the game. Question about Hans in the chat. And Jan won his game. Hans is on 3 out of 5, so he's doing okay.
Yeah, in this tournament, Daniel, normally, you know, even 6.5 or 7 can actually get you in that top 8, right?
Yeah, so 6.5 guarantees you top 8.
Right.
6, you know, you've got about a 75 to 80% chance.
Right. So a score like 3 out of 5 is acceptable right now.
So Fabi is
forward.
doing work. Okay, it's still not totally over, but Queen d5 is a buzz.
Yeah, now 96 is coming.
Knight's coming back. Yeah,
Queen
and knight d6 and knight f7 simply wins.
Just claiming the rook, the queen, king and pawn is very easy.
No, but here there's rook d8. So
okay.
Care must.
Let's
be
not blunder that,
exercised.
shall we?
Yeah, let's not. I mean, I already did. Too late. Now you're threatening. The bazooka is loaded. Queen takes f7 is a threat. King g7 getting out of it. It is still possible to take on f7 if you're so inclined. In fact, that would be a Fabi type of move.
Yeah, but it's also, yeah, I guess because you've got bishop d5 at the end, you have everything totally under control, right?
But this I'm less convinced by, because at least black gets some piece activity.
But there are no threats, right?
No, but you know, they can be conjured up quite quickly. Queen c6 is a nice square for the queen, though. And let's say black plays a5, you know, as long as black keeps himself in the game and Fabi's clock keeps dwindling, he keeps some miracle hopes alive, but not many of them.
I would be very surprised to see Fabi not convert, even with a minute 45 here.
Yeah, 100%. Agreed. Just don't take on f7.
96.
Because this is a fork. This is a check, rather. Sorry.
What's wrong with 96 here? 96 rook d4, 98 check king
h6.
Runs?
I run.
Yeah.
And, I run and I rack. I mean,
knight a5 now. That's an interesting move. Trying to just keep maximum control.
Okay, rook e5, queen e5. Okay, now Fabi finally takes that pawn on a6. And queen drops back to b5. Black cannot trade. That is, trading is suicidal. I have a bad feeling about this from Fabi's perspective. I don't know why. I just have a bad feeling about this.
Well, he's extremely low on confidence.
You can just feel it in his play, can't you?
Mm.
I hate to, I don't like these psychologizing kind of statements that don't have a lot of meaning. But
what is this? Rook f2, rook g2? What is this nonsense?
G5, I mean, this is going to be close. G5? No, white is winning. White is winning. White's pawn is faster. But by the skin of his teeth, because he's going to go bishop b5 at some point to cover the h1 promotion. You know, this is fine. This is winning for white. Just take it. I think. Take it, h3, bishop d5. There's h.
Decides not to.
Which also makes sense, because gh.
But gh3?
Then you play bishop d5.
It's important that you go bishop d5 because if you go a7, h2,
Black
and then bishop d5, you've got h3, have you?
No, or just h1.
Do you want to put that on the board?
No, but that line is, you should just promote. Like, you don't have to play h3 here.
Yeah, but then I take and then I promote, right?
No, but
you
if you
get
take, I
check.
check you. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Okay, so h3, king moves up, and again, bishop d5 is just going to end it. Bishop d5 is going to end it.
Bishop d5 is, now it is over.
Good stuff by Fabi there. He didn't lose his concentration, and it's still not over. Rook d2.
Harass the bishop, yes.
This is crazy.
There's no
Rook
checks.
d2 would have been a better chance there.
Okay.
Wait, how does Fabi win this exactly? Rook f2.
Bishop rook b2? Rook f2, yeah, because when you queen, rook takes, there's no checks.
You have to
block
try it.
the queen.
You blocked it, rook f1. Why
there's a check down the back.
No, but that was dumb. That was a really dumb move. Rook a2 check.
That was not.
Still going to try to flag him. Fabi's down at 12 seconds, but this should be pretty elementary. As long as he avoids stalemate. Okay, I don't like that decision at all, but okay, Yakuboyev is, oh, he's gonna get to the pawn, isn't he? No, he should go for the bishop. Oh my god. God, Fabi
6 seconds should do it, huh?
Oh, 4 seconds. Good pre-moving, but don't stalemate. This is stalemate central. Oh, he's still there.
Oh no! No! Oh my god.
I'm sorry, my fault.
Fabi, disgusted, just threw something there. I didn't catch that. Oh, that's so gross.
But the what you're taught in flagging school is whenever you have the queen and the bishop is the most dangerous combination in terms of delivering stalemate. So what you do in this situation, you move the bishop to a8. You move the knight to f8, and then you mate with the king and the queen. That's the safest method. You never try to mate by pre-moving when you've got multiple heavy pieces controlling squares. That is unreal. I mean, all of that effort, Lawrence, culminating in that. How frustrating is that?
Just a very, very, very frustrating game for and look, head in hands. And look, when it rains, it pours. Fabiano Caruana, my dear friend, somebody who he's like a brother to me, is going through a crisis. I don't think there's any question about it. A confidence crisis, an over-the-board crisis. He's rated the lowest he's been rated in 10 years plus. Just can't get anything going at the moment. And at some point, the rut will stop and he'll come back. Just the question is when. Meanwhile,
quick correction. I was misspeaking. It is Shamsuddin Vokidov rather than Yakuboyev. I apologize for that. I confused. I think I can be forgiven for that, though.
You can absolutely be forgiven.
Yeah, it's Vokidov. Okay, fascinating opening. I wonder how this game's going to end. Actually, maybe not a quick draw because knight a4 signals to me that he wants some sort of imbalance. Or not.
Okay. Yes. They laughed at this opening years ago when you played this with white, and then they realized, oh, you might actually just get the tiniest of nibbles here. With the bishop and whatnot. And given that the main lines hardly produce anything that great for white nowadays anyway, unless you're a bit lucky, I don't see anything wrong with this approach. I don't,
It's actually given people license to become more creative in the opening, right? The logic is now, as you said, okay, the main lines don't give me anything, so you might as well, try to take my opponent onto my home, some sort of turf that is unfamiliar to them. I actually faced, just as a quick detour, in the CGC qualifier, I faced in this position the move a4. And I was sure this was a mouse slip because I know A3 is actually a move. I know this is a move.
Right.
It prevents bishop B4. But apparently A4 is actually a move. It's a thing. People play it. And, this
and
is
what's the idea?
It beats me, but I lost pretty quickly. I guess it's a weird sort of waiting move. And in some remote variations, I don't know, rook A3 becomes an idea. But the point I'm making is just that you're right. It's like you have this shift now toward openings that have been disapproved of for the longest time, and now they're being played. Anyhow.
All right, Queen H7 on the board.
Uh-oh.
And
wait, he's losing a pawn. Oh, draw.
Okay.
Okay. No, that is not surprising. We move on to Hikaru's game against Sam Sebian, who has somehow, first of all, he won that second game, which is insane. Remember that game down in exchange?
Yes. Oh my goodness. How the hell did he win that?
And then he's only given up one more draw, and now he's playing Hikaru. And he's better, I think. Yeah, it's a symmetrical material, but black just has good pieces in the center.
Yeah, this bishop on e5 is a curious kind of formation here, but yeah, knight d2 c5 is actually blundering a bishop here. Should be pointed out that if Hikaru plays the natural, because he wants to bring that knight to f3, but knight d2 c5. Ah, no, knight b5 exists. Excuse me.
Right, but I mean, this pawn is also hanging, so.
Yeah, the pawn is also hanging.
But you're right. It's a very instructive line. It looks like this wins the knight, but no, it does not, because knight b5 attacks the queen.
Right.
Okay, so Hikaru is probably trying to decide between h3 and g3, both of which have clear pluses and minuses. Now, unpleasant position for white. I mean, Sam has this idea also of taking and going knight c5. White is under serious pressure in the center.
Yeah, absolutely. This is annoying to play for white, which is why you can see Hikaru is what I love about Hikaru, watching him, especially the video, is he's obviously, an extremely expressive player. It's very fun to watch him.
It really is. And I think expressiveness over the board can be obnoxious, but I think it should be more accepted and encouraged in general within reasonable parameters, because it really makes it so entertaining to watch.
All right. So Hikaru, deep in the tank. Normally he's still got about 9 minutes around. He does eventually opt for g3.
And now my guess is that he was trying to find a response to DE and knight c5.
You can go knight d2 there. Rook d8. Okay, makes a
okay. Now knight c5 is a threat because it exposes. I think Hikaru has to get his other knight into the game, maybe via a3. Maybe like this. Not sure. Yeah, very tough position for Nakamura. Knight d2.
Yeah, knight d2 on the board.
If knight c5, he wants knight d to f3, and everything
correct
is somehow defended.
Correct.
Okay, Sam can snag a pawn here, and maybe he should. Bishop takes d4. Bishop takes and knight takes e4. But Hikaru gets this very nice bishop, and he drags all of his pieces into the game. So I would say white would be not too unhappy with this turn of events, should this transpire.
Yeah, and this could happen. I mean, this is a very logical continuation.
By the way, we are getting word that Rinat Jumabayev, who is very much in the mix right now with 3.5 out of 5, made a huge blunder in the opening. This was an exchange French. How often do you see?
Yeah, knight c6. This is all standard. Okay.
Oh, he missed the classic trick. Rook e1 check, knight g7, bishop g5 traps the queen.
Oh no.
Now, the correct move would have been queen takes g5 with a drop.
Right.
But he takes on f3, thinking that white has blundered, and forgets
Right.
about this beautiful move.
Oh my goodness.
D2.
I've seen this somewhere.
Well, where you see it most commonly is in the this old variation, I'm pretty sure, of the knight f6 French. This is the actual line where I've seen it for the first time.
Ah, yes.
Here, bishop takes f3. Oh, I've won the piece. Nope. Whoop. Queen d2. And here there's the added touch that queen takes d4 fails to bishop b5 check. Knowing your tactical patterns, and after queen d2, Renat was forced to give away the bishop, and at the end of the day, he loses a critical pawn on c7. This is a miserable endgame. Thank you for pointing this out, chat. This was very instructive.
Yeah.
And this should be a gimme for Jose. Okay, we can go back perhaps to Hikaru's game.
Okay.
Oh, this is on the board.
It's on the board.
Literally,
As I said, it was
spoke about this.
a very, very natural kind of route forward.
Okay, c5, hitting the bishop, asking it where it wants to go, bishop e5 or back to b2. Bishop e5, queen a5, eyeing the c3 square. Yeah, not sure what to make of this position. It seems pretty clear that Hikaru's on the defensive, but we know how quickly he can take over the initiative. So that's those words should be taken with a grain of salt at all times. How would you go about defending this from this point?
I don't really know. I mean, queen c2. Well, I was queen c2 is the most logical move, and
that's it's like when you watch a Jeopardy recording and then the same episode plays and you know all the answers.
Yeah,
I like doing that.
No, but really, it was the only sensible move, really, that from a human perspective. Okay, yeah. So takes. Yeah, this is clever. Can you go rook e1 here?
Then there's
or does that allow knight d2? Sorry?
Knight g5.
Knight g5.
That's a nasty little move. Actually, that wins the game.
That's nasty, goodness
And
me.
then the funny thing is I also pick up your bishop.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, so you can't go rook e1.
Sam is handling the tension really, really well here. I mean, once the rooks are off the board, black is not really risking. Let's not forget, black is up a pawn. Black is up. Otherwise, white would be better. I don't see a move for Hikaru other than, I mean, Hikaru move would be like king g2 or something. He trades. And g4.
Ah, this is... Okay, but this is a bit of a... It shows that he's a little bit annoyed or desperate or something along those lines.
I mean, he's down a pawn in an endgame. Desperate probably isn't too strong of a word. But how does black deal with this? Because h6, of course, white plays h4. That only staves off the problem of g5. There's probably... Okay, you can also move the e4 knight, right? You can move it back to d6. And then you can do the little switcheroo if you wanted, knight e4.
Yes. The switcheroo.
Or you could play, I suppose, knight g4.
Knight g4 looks weird to me.
Agreed, because that knight gets trapped.
Yes.
Okay, this is
okay. So knight f8.
Knight fe8.
Okay. Still tough to find a way to keep the pressure on, a little bit of initiative.
h3, so Hikaru taking it slow. Yeah, the problem ultimately is that white is still very solid. Like, yes, white's down a pawn, but black won't win the game just because he's up a pawn. He needs to make more progress than that. f6, and that's exactly what Sam is doing, making progress in the center.
Yeah, and he can go slow. He can go queen d7, then e5 to be able to cover some of the light squares. He can even play, h6, king f7. A lot of ideas here for Sam. And actually, e5 immediately, queen e5, knight f7 probably is also decent.
Mm-hmm. e5.
So you can
great catch.
But queen d7, I mean, this is perfectly sensible. You can even slowly prepare queen c6 next. I wonder if you can even play with g5 here. It's not necessary, of course, to weaken, but yeah, knight e4, e5. Yeah, and this is what he wants. He wants queen d5, queen f7. So bishop g3, now with queen c6, it's all flow.
Yeah, but now you've weakened the defense, and here comes the f pawn.
Okay, but I'm not panicking here as black. E4 and f5.
Sam.
And f5.
F5.
No, maybe not.
You take it. I have a check. What is
queen
it?
d8?
Maybe nothing because of king f7 and then knight
f7,
takes
yeah.
e4. There's tactics there. Ooh.
Knight e6.
Wait up.
f5, knight d4 he wants. This is actually a very pragmatic decision because now you establish a monster
but
knight.
he's blundered queen f4. He's blundered queen f4.
Oh.
Hikaru's going to win the game, I think.
Why?
So the reason this is so strong, first of all, there's no fork. No, you're just attacking the knight and you're winning back the pawn on e4. But it's very easy to panic. That's why I say what I say. Oh, Sam is trying to get his knight around to e5. That's a smart idea.
Oh, that's smart.
Queen e3.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. What are these moves? Okay, now knight takes e4. There's knight takes g4. The tactics never end. Wait, so what does white do exactly? Probably something like king e2. I don't know.
This is very tricky, and Hikaru very frustrated.
Queen d2. Poking and prodding and chiseling and just, the tiniest of inroads, and he's making them. And here comes the queen.
Okay, e3?
King e2?
Just king e2, yeah.
I have a feeling that Hikaru is going to win this game. Just don't take on e4.
This is clever. Knight e4, queen takes.
That is a vicious trap.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. You know who's not going to miss this? Hikaru Nakamura.
Right.
But also actually, the knight's heading for d4. You were saying?
Yeah, knight d4.
And queen c6. Queen c6 equalizes.
Yes.
You have to get the queens off the board. He goes h6.
Wow, he didn't do it.
Doesn't play it. b4. Wait, b4? What? No, b4 I think is very bad. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it.
Does he want king?
7 goes 7.
So what's the idea here?
If you just take?
Yeah.
I think the idea is just to play down a pawn, but to bank on the general vulnerability of white's king. Maybe even go knight g5 and offer a transition to a queen endgame at some point.
Right.
So now white is not risking.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting a question about Hans's position. Let me check in really quickly. Hans on 3 out of 5 playing Sergei Azarov. And he's going to draw, I think.
Yeah, there's... is he king d2?
Queen g5,
king d2, queen g5 check, right.
I think Hans is going to go for that and then flag him.
Yes, the guy's got 36 seconds.
And
Surely.
Sergei Azarov is not exactly Andrew Tang.
Exactly.
In any case, looks like Hans will win, although queen g5, and he's going to flag him. No question about it. Okay, back to Hikaru's game for a second here. As he continues to push this newfound advantage against Sevian. b4, c5, create another passer. Okay, queen d6, offering the queen trade. Black cannot refuse this offer. You will otherwise lose g5. d7. Impossible to evaluate this endgame, right?
Well, I'm not sure. G6, it looks like an easy hold here for...
Yeah, because you get rid of the pawn and then you walk your king over to the other side. No, this is actually a draw. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Knight C8.
He's playing for a win
What?
still.
Hate this decision. Now you get two protectors, F4, King F5. What a weird decision by Hikaru.
King F5, A5, BA. No, white is now at risk.
Knight C5.
You're absolutely right.
Now take Knight C5.
Knight B4, I guess you have to play. And then A6.
Yeah.
I mean, what choice do you have? This is probably still a draw. White is in time.
G4, yeah. F3, exactly.
Okay, yes.
Oh my goodness. Now Knight A4.
Close, but a draw.
Sorry,
C5.
C5 and I lose.
Or do you? Because then you could go like G3 and Knight C3, but that needs to be calculated.
Oh my goodness.
And that's exactly what Sam is doing. You can make a draw immediately with Knight takes A6. That is
right.
in your pocket. That is in your pocket. Okay, and he goes for it. Grishuk beat Adams, by the way. That was a matchup of Titans. Okay, Hans won. Yeah, he literally just did what we were talking about. He flagged him. Now, someone we have not given much attention to because he has struggled is Vladimir Fedoseev. And he is losing to Benjamin Bach. And Big Benjamin's going to go to 4.5 out of 6. What a score. What a score after 6 rounds.
Not bad. Yeah, this is an absolutely elementary.
Yeah, this is going to be a classic of he's going to skewer the new queen, king d4, king d4, etc. A5.
And Vladimir Fedoseev, hands in the air. He's had enough. I can tell you that.
So where is Fedoseev in the standings, in the Grand Prix standings? If we can check into the Grand Prix standings one more time, because the games of the round are basically over. So what we see is that Fedoseev has secured his spot. He's in 6th place. He has nothing to worry about. I think he's just frustrated at the way this particular weekend has gone.
Right.
He is firmly in the top 12. There's no way that he gets tossed out of there. So Fedoseev is safe.
Right.
The games from round 6 have concluded. That's it. And that means, Lawrence, there are 3 more rounds. And as we look at the standings, the tournament standings now, it's Nepo, Wesley, and Bortnick, who lost to Hikaru and won the rest of his games. How about that?
Yeah, he's doing well to stay up there. Hikaru, Benjamin Bach, and Jospin. Important tournament for Jospin. Staying very much in touch. Remember, it's all about getting that top 8. Fabi clinging on just by tiebreak, but a bunch of players in 4 out of 6. Doesn't need to, of course. Yeah, tight at the top as expected.
Well, it's going to be a tale of 2 kind of narratives here. The players at the top, Jan, Wesley, we're going to see some quick draws starting in just a second. The players closer to number 8 are going to play very combatively because those with 4 out of 6 have to win this next game. Now, let's see. Will Wesley go for the draw or will he press with the white pieces? What do you think?
I think he'll have a go, actually, against Bortnick. I don't know their personal history. And note how Wesley has not played a move yet. And I'm wondering if he thinks that there's another break after this round and he's going to be a minute late.
Yeah, there's a break, but it's after this round, not after round 6.
Right.
Wesley might have confused that. Yeah, he's spent 30 seconds already. This is not good. Although Fedeseev one time against me, I think he was 3 minutes late to a 10-minute game. And there you go. There he goes. Not too bad. 40 seconds.
Okay.
He has spotted him. Let's see if there's a quick draw offer. Alakine by Bortnik. That's typical.
Is that his open? Is that his go-to opening? Is it
all the time? That's all he plays, and he knows it backwards and forwards. He is scary to face in the Alakine.
Really?
I know the word scary and Alakine might not generally belong in the same sentence, but Bortnik knows what he's doing there.
Okay.
So, maybe Bortnik's playing for a win. Bortnik offered a draw.
What about just going knight f3 here? Oh, draw.
Get it? Of course. And Hikaru and Jan similarly making a draw as well.
Okay.
So that clears all of the top boards off. We have Jose against Benjamin. A game in which they can afford to make a draw, but would not be the greatest result. Win really. Oh, never mind.
Well, there you go.
Man, can we find an actual? Okay, I know. Oh, this is what the crowd wants to see. This is what the crowd wants to see. Fabiano against Hans. We are staying here. Don't worry. We are firmly rooted in place. Big game. The winner of this game puts themselves in great position with 5 out of 7. So what do you think of this position? Looks like White's better. Black has this sore pawn on a6.
Looks nice for White to me with this guy on a6 hanging for eternity. Yeah, not in love at all with Black's position.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fabio will be particularly happy. I don't know exactly what the opening was to get here. Must have been an Italian, I guess, but could be wrong.
This was a Rui. How dare you confuse them? Unacceptable. Oh, it was this line. That's how the A-pawn got isolated. Oh, and he played DC, which you really do not see this structure every day.
That's really interesting.
That's actually extremely unusual. Like for you to see DC rather than BC and D4, which is standard fare. But I like what Fabi's doing. I mean, he is such a specialist in these positions. But Hans is super solid too. Like Black is defending his pawn, getting the knight around to G6. Let's see how this middle game unfolds.
Yeah, H3. All makes sense.
Indeed it does. Yeah, so far, hard to make any clear conclusions. I mean, White's definitely for choice, but according to the eval bar, not by much. Is Hans thinking about going D5 at some point?
I don't think so somehow. Well, no, I mean, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm sure he is.
Mm-hmm. For instance, if Fabi would move his knight back to D2, I think D5 would be quite appropriate.
So how would you improve here as Fabi?
Yeah, I've been struggling with that question because, again, if you move your knight from C4 to open up the pressure on A6, then you potentially walk into D5. Bishop D7 is a great move. Is Hans like outplaying Fabi in this position?
Yes. If you want my honest assessment, I think he is.
I agree. I think it's looking that way. Bishop is coming to C6. Black is making more improvements to his position than vice versa. And the other problem is that if you uncautiously bring your knight to E3, then Black's knight is immediately going to jump into F4 with very unpleasant effects. Pawn on E4 becomes weak. Wowza. Knight C D2. Not a move you play if you like your position.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one, right? Knight F4. A lot of jiggling around. Bishop F1, Bishop D3, Knight C4, Knight D2. Kind of this uncertain way of playing.
Funny
one
comment
of
in
these
the chat.
guys. Yeah.
This pairing, says Steve is 5, is probably going to happen in the next 10 US championships, which is very, very true. Because Hans still has not played in a US championship. He will
Which
play
is
his first
incredible,
one,
by the
which
way.
is insane. He will play his first one this coming US championship. And I think the chess world eagerly awaits his performance in that very, very distinguished and prestigious, much awaited tournament.
When is the US Championship?
I think it's coming up. I think it's in October.
Okay.
I think it's in October, same time as last year. And it's really a bellwether kind of tournament in the sense that I feel like the people who do well in the US Championship, that's like often a jumping off point. Like when Sam Shanklin won the US Championship, he quickly rushed his rating to 2730 shortly thereafter. So it's such a confidence booster to do well in that tournament. And the years when I was actually qualifying by rating to the US Championship, I found that like when I did well at the tournament, I had a good year. If I did poorly, I had a bad year. It's interesting how certain tournaments are like
Interesting.
that.
Okay. What do you think here? Do you like black in this? I take black here. It looks awkward for white to me. Just to feels okay, like GF, and I'm very happy. Rook G8.
But white is
okay. This bishop on,
defending G2.
This bishop on D3 is garbage. Rook G7. Okay, Fabi will curl up like a turtle here. Queen E2. Ah, he wants to throw in this to. That's a potentially very clever move, actually. You don't really want to go bishop C8,
but maybe you should in the interest of division of labor. Like if you want the rook to attack G2, you wouldn't go rook A8, would you?
Possibly not. Yeah.
You have to defend the pawn. That is clear. Like sacking the pawn is unnecessary and unwise. Unless there's tactics with like rook G8 and then knight takes C4 at some point. I don't know.
Really?
I'm too tired to calculate it at the moment.
Maybe rook G8 is actually an interesting try, just trying to sort of invite white to take this pawn to scramble the pieces slightly, gain a little bit of time. Yeah, because rook G8, bishop A6, queen A8, then you have to defend G2, and then you have knight takes E4. He doesn't go for it in the end. Also understandable.
Yeah, bishop C8 is his choice. Knight F3 to D2, maybe paving the way for the other knight to rejoin society. Very cagey kind of game. Maneuver.
I think I would go queen A8 here as black and put the bishop on B7.
Okay, Lawrence Neiman. That has a ring to it.
What's that?
Lawrence, I said okay, Lawrence Neiman. Or Hans Trent.
I want to apologize to everybody if you're staring at my head and the reflection of the light blinds you slightly, but it's getting dark here, and I haven't got a decent setup today. So, okay, queen C8.
Pretending to threaten rook takes G2, even though it's not a threat.
Right.
But it could become one under different circumstances. White is, but knight H4, trying to get the knight to F5. Wait a second.
Does knight G4 work here, Danya?
There's all sorts of things. Knight G4, knight F5, I thought.
Knight G4, knight F5 immediately. I wanted to point out HG4, rook G4, queen F5, and then take it and rook H4, mate.
But knight takes E4, no? Isn't this just a pawn?
Ah.
Like what? I must be missing something here because this is too basic.
No, you're not missing anything.
Knight takes E4. How does white even... Because the problem isn't just that black wins the pawn. Forget about that. The problem is that the pawn avalanche descends upon white here. D5, E4, rook takes G2 becomes a serious threat. If the queen moves away from E2, I mean, Hans is probably sitting there thinking, what am I missing after knight takes E4? Maybe some queen H5 somewhere? But then the bishop can drop back to g5.
Yeah, this is very bizarre.
I think I get it. Yeah, takes, bishop h4, and queen h5 is what he wants. And this caused consternation, and so Hans actually refrains from this move and plays bishop f8.
Now I think he'll... So knight f5 still exists, huh?
Very much so. And now it appears that it might maybe Fabi who is taking the upper hand on the clock and on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like Hans might have missed his chance there to take on e4. He goes c5, opening up a second front. Huh. So can you play knight f5? So
weird one.
Complicated.
Knight f5, he wants to put the rook on h7? Or what? Because rook g6, knight h4, rook g5? It's getting weird.
Yeah, it's been weird for a while. Fabi droppeth the knight to d2. And there's finally d5. That move.
Okay, I love this try because ED, look at this. ED, bishop d5, queen e5, queen h3, mate, Daniel. Let's put that on. Oh my.
No.
Oh, careful.
Not quite that move. Queen takes h3 is check and mate because of the pin. But here's the problem. I think that I might be able... Oh, at first I was going to say f3. But then it occurred to me that black has this knight h5 maneuver, which could be even nastier. And after queen takes e5, I mean, it just looks like the position is teeming with tactical resources. So let's wait and see what Fabi does. He does take on d5.
Okay. Is he going to miss the mate in one?
That would be, I mean, you could wake Fabi up after 80 hours of not sleeping, and he could be parachuting out of an airplane, and he shouldn't miss that. But that will remain behind the scenes because knight takes d5 is Hans's choice.
This is clever. He's not telegram. Bishop f5. Oh,
he's setting up all sorts of like
queen d8.
Knight f3, I suppose.
This knight to f3, but then there's knight c3, queen e5. What does he want?
CB.
CB he wants.
I feel like it's hard to say.
Queen d6.
95. Yeah, queen f4 was a mistake apparently, and so was queen d6.
Wow, what a spot here. 94.
We're calling all the moves though. Okay, you obviously there's shenanigans going on. The bishop defends the queen, which is very important. It takes the sting out of these discoveries. Oh. Queen f6, sticking the queen right in white's grill. Knight d7, then queen g5. I think Hans is going to win this game.
Do you really? Do you think this is slipping from Fabi here?
Well, I think it's been slipping for a very long while. There were brief moments when it appeared that Fabi may be taking over the initiative, but the narrative of the game is that I think Hans has felt more comfortable ever since the early middle game. Okay, knight f3. And let's not forget about the idea potentially of pushing the pawn. Oh, bishop c8.
This is a good move. This is a good move.
Uppercut after uppercut.
That's nasty.
Knight d4 maybe is forced, but then rook g5?
Yeah, the knight on d4 is not stable. We can see Hans Niemann there. Is he laying down in bed?
That would be
he's just playing on his laptop in bed, huh?
I don't really care about this tournament. I'm just beating Caruana and I have 5 out of 7 the RCC.
And now he just runs the b pawn, b3. Knight f7, king h7, no bother. And bishop a3, precisely. If knight d3, you can go bishop a3.
Right.
Knight e2. Bishop b4 is good, of course.
So fast and confident. It's crazy how quickly he's carrying out the conversion here. Knight d3, maybe last chance. No, but
Knight
Fabi's
d3.
No chance here.
You can take on a5, worst case. Okay, knight c6, he wants similar. Probably a good try, this. Rook e8 is terminal.
And b2.
Okay. Oh, b2 immediately.
Knight d3, and rook takes e2. And
b2. Oy, oy, oy.
Well, b2, maybe knight takes c3. So
What? No.
okay, this also is completely winning.
Yeah, and you win h3, and
You have another passer, and white is tied down. And
you have
another. Jeez.
Fabi in just a world of pain at the moment in his
And
chest.
he can't catch a break.
No.
But Hans just played a phenomenal middle game. I mean, that was just like,
Yeah.
that was a tour de force of tactical ideas. It wasn't perfect, obviously, but how can you play perfectly in a position like, yeah, close as it comes to perfect? Ridiculous. Hans wins. He moves to 5 out of 7. He puts himself in prime qualifying spot. This is Jumabayev against Georg Meyer, one of the few remaining games. There will be a short break after this round, and then 2 more rounds.
We got a little message, yeah. Hans chilling whilst crushing Caruana with black. Hans has been on fire in this competition for the past few weeks. You're all correct. Hans just looked like he was in bed destroying one of the highest rated players in history. Just made it look easy. It's scary stuff.
Hans has been on fire for the last 2 years. So,
sorry, I had an ambulance run past me there.
No,
I missed that.
I was saying Hans has been on fire for the last 2 years.
Yes. Well, yeah, the last 2 years. Let's put it like that. Yeah, precisely.
Okay, looks like Jumabayev is going to keep his qualifying chances alive with a win here if he can finish this off. The pawns seem to be overwhelming. Yeah, this is sad. Just king d3. Gosh,
yeah, and one of these pawns.
C7 and bishop
one of
d5.
these pawns. Oof. Yeah.
Will he see it?
Yeah.
And Georg Meyer, without waiting for bishop d5, resigns the game. Ooh, we still have Sevian Grishuk with a winning position for Sasha, but 30 seconds on his clock. Is he going to take the draw? He is.
He is. Okay.
Totally reasonable call with 27 seconds. That makes a lot of sense. And Eric trying to win this one with, he's going to win this easily.
7 seconds, plenty of time for Eric here, huh?
And not even close. And look at the technique is and the way he does it, right? He doesn't involve his bishop, and he uses the heavy pieces to ladder checkmate. Like with 5 seconds left at the end.
Wow, that was impressive.
And that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Round 7 has concluded. 2 more rounds to conclude the final Saturday Swiss of this first season of the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Do not go anywhere because a lot is yet to be decided both today and in terms of who qualifies to the top 12. We will be back with more RCC action in a couple of moments.
The Rapid Chess Championship is brought to you by Coinbase. Whether you're looking to make your first crypto purchase or you're an experienced trader, Coinbase has you covered. You can earn crypto by learning about crypto at Coinbase.com. Explore DeFi and Web3 with your Coinbase wallet. Get exclusive rewards when you spend with your Coinbase card and much, much more. Learn more at Coinbase.com/chess and get $10 in Bitcoin when you sign up and verify your account. Check them out. Use the command sponsor or command Coinbase today and go to Coinbase.com to get that Bitcoin, baby.
Wow, that's a fork. There goes my queen. My opponent is eating well tonight with a fork. No knife, no spoon, one fork is enough. Oh no, not my queen. Oh, not the queen, no. I left it hanging. Oh, just plain hanging out to dry. Well, that's great. A little discover check to win my queen. Spend the whole day playing glitch. And what do I have to show for it? -50 elo. And the discovery here is I'm bad at chess.
Oh, come on. There's no way a 1200 is finding that move. He's cheating. He's got to be cheating.
Oh dear, seems as though I've planted my queen. I've planted myself, as it were. I've been pinned to the king. Say, Lizzie, I wouldn't mind being pinned to a king again. Is that too much to say? Oh, you devil.
Okay, so a beginner player might think I have blundered my queen here, but actually my opponent is just getting mated on the next turn. If he takes here or here, he's getting mated.
Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. And as round 8 begins, we take one more look at the Grand Prix leaderboard with Hikaru Nakamura with that 30-point lead over the rest of the fields. But Lawrence, as we've been discussing, one of the big narratives, a couple of people have to have big performances if they want to make it to the top 12.
Absolutely, yes. Jospin is especially there. Grishchuk absolutely is on the cusp. Matlikov, who is playing also today. Jan Nepomniachtchi also with an outside shot. Now, Jan Nepomniachtchi is actually leading the tournament. If he wins and gets to 41, he's going to require Matlikov not to make the top 8. And as a result,
there's going to be some serious intrigue.
Yes.
In regard to who makes it to number 12 and number 11. Now, what's interesting is that Hikaru declines a draw here early in the game against Benjamin. So Hikaru feels like he wants to win and really cement his spot so he doesn't have to depend on the last round.
Right. But Benjamin is not out of the woods yet and probably feels that he should play. And also, this is not exactly a position that Benjamin should be particularly scared about.
By the way, a couple of updates. Yeah, no, I think beating Benjamin here will be very, very difficult. Hans and Wesley drawing, Bortnik and Nepo drawing. So a couple of results already with Nepo and Wesley basically securing their ticket to the Sunday knockout, both of them with 6 out of 8 and excellent tie breaks. Okay.
Yeah.
Hikaru trying to get his knight around to d6, but does that really accomplish that much?
Well, it does and it doesn't. Yeah.
The knight b5 was his idea.
Knight b5. That's why he played a4.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Precisely.
Yeah, this is a tough position. I think black is worse because anytime you play rook c8, you run into bishop g4. And white is piling up on the c pawn.
Yeah, so I wonder if here you should go g6 with black, with the idea that rook c3, rook c8, bishop g4, and then play f5. We might be able to play. It's a bit loose.
But I can take twice.
He's just going back, but that's not. I'm not in love with it.
And he offers a draw. But I think Benjamin's going to decline it this time.
Yeah. Bishop e2, bishop b5.
Right. That is a serious idea.
And if bishop e2, rook c8, you can gain a tempo. Bishop g4, rook b8. Let's
But
say.
then what are you going to do with that bishop on g4? If you had one more piece to put pressure on c7 with, then
Right.
you'd be doing well. It's not going to be easy if Benjamin declines this to actually break through, especially when Hikaru is defending. It's hard to say whether he'll take it. What do you think? He does take it.
Wow.
Ooh, he's definitely better, but maybe not seeing a clear way forward. Understandable. Well, that
Yes.
leaves us. What does that leave us with? That leaves us with a couple of top games. Jose seems to be doing. Wait, what is? How many pawns is he up? If he takes it e5, he'll be up 3. How did this happen? This was a Kopek system. Oh, what a blunder. He blundered in this position. Bishop takes f7 check.
Oh my God.
That is a bolt from the
stinker.
blue. Can't take with the rook, you lose the queen. You take from the king, whoop, picks up the knight on b4. Or, I mean, black tried to give it away, but white says, no, I'm taking it on my terms. And Jose is up a healthy pawn. Sorry, it's not 2 pawns. He's up a pawn, but black's position is miserable otherwise too. Wow. And he takes e5.
Yeah, I'm not in love with this. It's just a little too much material, right? Rook e1.
Knight b6 also.
And knight b6.
Yeah, but if we follow this line, knight b6, rook b8, rook takes a... I mean, it's hard to say whether you should take this bishop, but what could happen negatively for white is that black could get a ton of piece activity. You want to avoid a situation like this, where black is suddenly full of energy. Maybe Jose underestimated something of that nature.
Yeah, it's still quite tricky technically, actually. But this is an important game for Jospen. He really would like to win this. Winning this kind of guarantees him, or if he manages to get a draw in the last round, a shot tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of money riding on this particular game. It's not only the qualification, but we keep coming back to the question of the top 12. This is the final week. So the minimum guaranteed prize is quite steep once you make it into the top 12, and that'll be coming your way next week, starting Thursday. So mark your calendars. If you think this is epic, wait until the final. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, bishop h6, rook d8 was his choice. But what now?
So he does go for this knight b6, yeah.
By the way, first place overall is 30,000. And the guaranteed prize is 5,000, just like in the CGC. That is like revolutionary. For the guaranteed minimum prize to be 5K is basically unheard of in like online tournaments.
Totally agree. Okay, rook c8.
Rook a6.
And yeah, and even though white is all this material up, black is active, and this is by no means easy. What is the way here?
Yeah, but they've gotten exactly the kind of situation that, by the way, rook e1 actually loses.
Bishop d4.
It's crazy. Fork.
Yeah.
You're forking a fork. So my inclination is to play rook d1.
Yeah, that was my original thought as well.
But rook takes b2.
And if rook b2,
what hurts you is that you can't go here.
Yeah,
because you get
mated.
mated. And a move like f4 is very, very weakening. It weakens this diagonal. So I guess you can play g3 maybe, but then I already start taking b3. Well, rook a5 is his move, but okay. Now maybe rook e8 here. It's right.
These
young, Uzbek, players. I guess I was impressed, with the Olympiad performance, but
Oh, he hates it. The comp hates it. Why does it hate it so much?
Wait,
Rookie 1 bishop h2, take, check, king e7, and nothing.
I saw that line.
King f1.
Yeah, but why is king f1 like so winning? It's +5. Okay, I can't understand why. The threat is g3, right?
Yes.
And
bishop
if you move
e3.
your bishop, but if you move your bishop back,
Yes.
like I can even go check and like here, and just pick up a
Yes.
bunch of your pawns. So Black is just losing all of his pawns basically, and he missed it. But he played rook b5, which is also good.
Can I?
b7.
So rook b7, rook e2.
Last chance for Black is to get active. Okay, then I got rook. No. Thinking about rook d1 there. Yes, I actually think rook e2, rook d1 might be very strong.
Rook d1.
He takes b2, but that's not. Okay, so now still rook d1 is very interesting. I
Wow.
think rook d1 wins because you give up f2.
King
You just
h2 is
tuck it-
important, I think.
Yeah, king h2 is indeed important. And the threat of rook g7 and rook d7 is totally unstoppable. The white king is completely safe. So rook d1 wins the game. Let's see if Jose finds it. Nope. But this also should win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the black king just very, very weak. Yeah, and if you have to go passive, rook e8, rook d7, and it's Pac-Man time.
Yep. Bonk, bonk. Okay. Here you have to be careful, though. These are never as easy to win as they appear.
Now rook d7.
Rook e2.
Oh, yeah.
Something tells me that Jose is getting nervous here. Rook e2. He's going to have to go back to d8. Would I be crazy if I said that I think this will end in a draw?
Yes.
Well, I think.
But he has only got 2 minutes 50 and he's nervous. Clearly, you can see in the camera.
You can just tell. But I don't know how to win this because it's +6, yes. Oh my God. Check. Let me show this really quickly. Here, black goes back. Check with this rook, and rook takes h7.
Ah, come on.
Bang.
Come
Up
on.
2 pawns. Come on. All right. He didn't see it. And now it's a draw after h5.
No, never seen. h5, h4?
But okay, it's king f8. Okay, the classic Dvoretsky endgame manual. Yeah.
But I go king g3, king f3, g3. Like,
okay, it's too complicated to calculate. King g3. Okay, maybe Jose will win this still because he can get his pawn to b6 like gratis. Yeah, well, where is black going? No, this is not the way to defend this. This is definitely not the way to defend this.
I like Jose chances with the b pawn and the king very close already. Also, king e4, king e5, king f6 can't like. You can go king f4 here. It's quite, okay, he goes king e4. I thought he doesn't care about rook g3. Yeah, I thought he should have gone king
only
f4.
Chance at this point, yeah, is to take the pawn and then go back and stop the white pawn and hope that white doesn't have enough time.
But why not king f4, just eliminating that possibility, and then you go king e5 anyway?
No, I agree. Now rook g3 is a draw, apparently.
Wow.
Only move.
He really botched this, huh? Goodness
Anything
me.
can still. Oh, he missed it. And now b5 is winning again. Shows you how complicated endgames are.
Yeah, just incredibly tough.
Rook g7 check, I think, is what was missed here.
Rook G7 is very simple, and Rook G4.
But H takes G4 is no, it's not the move.
No, you have to go Rook G7, King F8, Rook G4, Rook B2.
Yeah, so that's why you play HG, to be able to defend the pawn from behind. But that's HG is a hard move to play, because it looks like you almost might be losing your rook, but of course you're not. Rook F2 check King G6, and he finds it. And maybe H5 is the last chance for black.
After Rook F2 or now, you mean?
No, here, immediately.
H5, Rook F7, King G8, G8. Yeah, that's a very clever move.
H5, B6 is winning, but that white still needs to find that. Okay, obviously Vokidov is taking his last seconds to figure something out here. He goes back to B2.
Rook B7 now. Surely you play Rook B7 here. Yes.
Rook B4. Rook B4.
King H5?
And then I wait with King G8.
Okay, so the question is...
it's a draw again. Rook takes G4 check.
Wow.
Black
I would never give up this pawn.
No, you had to defend it. You had to go King H5.
Yeah, no, you have to. Also, you can always just take on H6 when you want. This is actually showing a bit of... I've not been impressed by Jose's endgame technique whatsoever.
I think the nerves, the tremendous nerves. Now, King 8 loses to Rook H7. Loses.
Oh my God.
He needed to play Rook F4 check and then Rook B4.
Is he going to find it?
Rook, and what Vokidov has missed is that after Rook H7, Rook B4, B7, King D8 looks like a draw. This position is actually winning because the white king just gets zigzags and then white wins. He found it.
That's actually extremely tough to see.
But you know the
I can see Rook B4. Yeah, Rook B4, B7, King D8 is just forced.
Now, will he play?
I mean,
King
this is just
E6?
forced.
Yeah, what is he?
And King E6. But it's also not clear to me that, okay, but after, let's say I go H5 or check and H5, let's say.
I zigzag my way to B8. Oh, no, Josman's not going to be able to do this.
Come on.
In C6, he's doing it. He's going there. Nope, wrong way. Wrong way.
Not.
There we go. There it is.
Wow.
He's found it. But now Rook A6. And it still looks like a draw. In Rook A6, you have to find ridiculous maneuvers with Rook C7. No, there's just no way. Yeah. There is no way he wins this. Is there?
No.
H5, Rook G5, H4, Rook G4.
Rook D5 check and you build the bridge. Bridge time.
C7.
Rook D5, King C7.
Bridge. It's a bridge. He tricked
But you don't even need the bridge.
Oh, he missed it. Rook A4 now. Now Rook A4, just King C7 was over. What, Lawrence?
How can you not play King C7?
King C7 and you promote. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Now Rook A4 and black is back in the game. Now you can build a bridge again though after Rook A4. Okay, black needs to stop thinking and just play Rook A4 and pretend that he's seen everything, because this is tipping Jose off that there is something in this position.
I'm in shock.
What? Oh no, but now it's a Lucina.
Oh, now it's King
C7.
Yeah.
There's only one tricky defense here, which I didn't know about until the engine showed it to me. There's some move that forces you to find. Okay, Rook D5. Come on. Okay. Yeah, no, it's over. Here it's over. He's trying to rediscover the wheel here.
Not happening.
No. Rook B5.
B5.
Goodbye.
King D5.
Okay, 20 seconds for Jose should be enough.
Queen F7. Okay.
Oh. King is slipping through the cracks, but not for long. And
That's
there
nice.
it
is.
The
big fist pump.
I mean, That was a big game right there. That was a huge game. We have Demchenko against Hansen. One more game left as we move right along to the tournament's conclusion. God, Eric is always locked in these crazy time scrambles. Jose just has his head in his hands, just like, oh my God, I need to breathe. Because his work is not done. He needs to not lose the last game.
Yeah, he needs to not lose. I wonder if he plays one of the guys, whether they'll give him a draw. Let's see.
His tie breaks are abysmal, so a draw would be exactly what the doctor ordered. I think Eric is going to win this game on time, but it's going to be a close one. Okay, there's the sack. Queen e3 is coming. Eric breaks through on the queen side. No, this is winning. Queen g5.
Eric, this is a botch. King e7, king f7, rook c4, rook e4. And Eric's going to win this. He's going to flag him. Let's see the speed of Eric against Demchenko.
At some point, Eric just turns the jets. No, he gave him a draw. Very generous. And of course, they're not in contention for anything, so an understandable decision. And the games from round 8 are over. We have one more round to play in our Saturday Swiss. This is the final week. And we hope you've been enjoying the coverage. Tomorrow, of course, is the Sunday knockout with the top 8 players from today's Saturday Swiss qualifying. It is the final week, so huge bearing on the final standings, with 12 of the top players, according to the Grand Prix standings, qualifying to next week's RCC final. Now, we're going to see a bunch of quick draws. 6 out of 8 is the top score right now. So, Lawrence, a pretty low-scoring RCC, which is understandable given how many incredibly strong players were participating.
Sure. Yeah, as we said, 6 might get you through. 6.5 now is a cert that you get in. And I'm very curious to see how this all pans out. At the moment, Hans is taking 8th, but there's players like Grishchuk who actually need to do something in this last round.
Jospin offered a draw and moved 0, and Wesley took it. That's next level.
Beautiful.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Well done. Well done. Really good stuff.
And Bortnik did the same.
Okay.
And Hikaru Hikaru offered a draw. So Hikaru thinks his tie breaks are sufficiently good to propel him to 6.5. And Sasha Grishuk declines it. We're going to have a game, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, but Hikaru's not losing with white. I'm not sure what Sasha's... I mean, this is very admirable, but Hikaru is not going to lose with white on demand.
Well, he hasn't.
Everything is possible, of course. Of course, everything is possible, and Grishuk is Grishuk. Grishuk is Grishuk. Okay, what else do we have? We have Fabi, who's still in the race. If he can win, he'll have 6. He might be one of the few lucky ones who gets through with 6. Hans drew already, and Sevian drew. God, Lawrence, these people are so confident in their tie breaks. You never know how the tie breaks are going to pan out. So, bold decision making.
Exactly. All right. So d4, we have a standard position here. Takes. Standard IQP.
The lay of the land, by the way, is as follows. I've calculated it. So right now we have 4 players who have punched their tickets with 6.5. At most, we will have 6 players. At most, we have 6 players with 6.5, which means that at the very least, 2 players with 6 out of 8 are going to go through. If Hikaru doesn't win, if Hikaru and Grishuk draw, and if Benjamin Bach, who's the only other 5.5, does not win, then we're going to have a huge logjam with 6 out of 8, with about half of those players qualifying based on tie breaks. Okay.
There you go.
Hikaru is not that impressive in the opening, honestly. This looks pretty pleasant for black, doesn't it?
Right. Yes, it does. Yes.
Ooh, knight c6. Is there even this?
Queen h4. How about
Okay.
that?
Forcing this very weakening move, and then you take on c6.
Right?
Oh, my lands. Grishuk sitting pretty out of the opening. Rook e1 by Nakamura. I have to say Grishuk is one of my favorite players, so I'm always biased.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character. Obviously, a very special player. Been around for a long time now, and always pleasure to see him play. Obviously, given the current political climate, things are a little bit tricky. I think everybody, I think I speak on behalf of, well, not everybody, but perhaps most people, when I say, it would be a real shame for a lot of the, top Russian players to not be able to compete properly over the next few years, because they're such fantastic players, speaking purely from a sports point of view. So we'll see what happens.
You speak on behalf of any rational thinking person who understands the nature of the situation. And Grishuk, big surprise. I'm about to say something very, very surprising. He has already spent 2 minutes by move 10. He might be in time pressure. I think that's the first time those words have ever been uttered. Alexander Grishuk in time pressure. Usually are like milk and beef, they don't mix.
Well, I mean, the Grishuk in time trouble discussion is, the big question over the years is would he have got to the very top if he could change that aspect of his game? And I don't know is the answer, but I think you'd be changing him. And I think it's just an unalterable facet of his personality and part of his game that he just cannot avoid the time trouble. He's an artist. He gets deep into these positions.
And he needs to qualify because his 11th spot in the tournament standings is not safe if any one of those players, such as Jose Martinez and Jan Nepomniachtchi, who's qualified. No, Jan cannot supersede Grishuk even with a win. But anyways, Grishuk really would like at least a qualification tomorrow. I'd also like to add that Hans Niemann in our chat saying it's time to pray. Pray for his tie breaks. Pray to the tie break gods. And a reminder that we will only find out the tie breaks after all of the games have been concluded. Queen c7 in the meantime has been Grishuk's move.
Playing very slowly, both of them, and very uncharacteristically.
It's only going to make the time scramble more interesting. Is Black just slightly better here?
Yeah, it's just a fine position. But what's going on? What am I watching here? Okay, g3. Okay,
well,
a6.
I just think Black's pieces are more, and Black's development is better. White still has these two duds on the queen side that don't have very good prospects. And for Sasha,
you take on d4. Oh yeah, you do. And bishop c5, bishop d7. Yeah.
My inclination is to try to put this bishop on c6, but
I agree.
Bishop d7.
How ridiculous? Yeah, go on. Yeah, bishop d7. I like.
How ridiculous is?
No, I was going to suggest a really ridiculous move here. So I'm going to tell you. Well, bishop c5 was my first thought.
Mm-hmm.
Queen h4. Or queen h4, bishop e7. We're getting in trouble there. Our bishop on c4 is a little bit loose here, Danya. For example, a move like queen d1 just runs into bishop takes f2 check.
Oh, I did not see that actually. Bang, bang, bang. And queen d3 is Hikaru's choice. Now, sorry, my printer is making random sounds. Rook d8 makes sense here. b6
for sure.
I don't know. I struggle in these positions.
I like rook d8.
It feels like you have to play precisely for the initiative not to fizzle out. b5 maybe.
By the way, may I just say, looking at the camera of Alexander Grishuk, he's gone for the short back and sides, but has he lost a whole bunch of weight as well? He looks thin.
It's hard to say from that camera angle.
I mean, he's never been a huge guy, but he's always been. But looks like he's trimmed down.
Yeah, I can see that. He honestly, commentating with Grishuk was one of the best. I know this will sound like an exaggeration, but I had the great privilege of commentating, I think, 7 of the World Championship rounds with Grishuk in Russian. And like I tell people, imagine how witty he is in English. Now imagine what he's like in his native language.
I can imagine.
It was just sitting back and just listening to him talk. And it doesn't matter what he's talking about, the position, making statements about the players. Single thing he says is like instantly memeable, instantly quotable, incredible person. So I felt
fantastic character,
adding anything to the discussion. So Bishop E4 and Hikaru with his one piece trying to ward away Grishuk's entire army here and doing a pretty good job of it. White is solid. Sasha, time.
Absolutely.
Time, Sasha. 4.5 minutes, no increment. He's stuck. He's stuck.
He needs a move it's a frustrating moment because if you give White 2 moves, he consolidates. So you feel as though the time is now if you're going to make use of something, but it's really tough. Well, Sasha's just said, okay, I don't believe I have something quick, and now Hikaru is probably in time
to get his knight around to F3. Yeah, little else is more tilting than these moments. Maybe when your autocorrect corrects Hikaru to Hillary, but that's okay. A5 I really like because that grabs space on the queen side, maybe bishop A6 at some point, and perhaps the idea of doubling rooks on the only open file would be sensible as well. Now, black is better still, no question about it.
Absolutely.
How is Hikaru going to keep untangling? Is he going to go knight F3? Is he going to do something more creative? This is coming down to the wire. Knight B3. Hikaru goes the other way. Grishuk instantly responds with A5, but I think this trade is probably in White's favor, no?
I would think so. It looks as though, okay, Sasha's trying to play against this bishop. It's quite interesting. Yeah, and A3 is in the air, so you've got to be a little bit careful here as White. Like, do you play A3 here?
Do you play A3? Yeah, the question is it worth fixing your own pawns?
Yeah.
Now, what's not worth doing, I'm also wondering if C4 is worth playing, just to orchestrate more trades, and he plays it. Now, bad news for Hans, which is that Benjamin Buck is about to win his game, and he's going to have 6.5 as well. So that thins the margins, and the number of people who qualify with 6 shrinks further. But for the moment, before this round, it's Sam Sevian and then Hans in terms of best tie breaks. We'll see if that stands.
Okay. Who do you like in this position? Who would you take?
Well, I think Sasha's still better, but I'm very worried about his clock in the long run. If this game drags on, I'm very worried about his time. I have a feeling this will end it. I have a feeling there will be a draw for.
Okay.
So, but Hikaru taking his own time, and he's only up 20 seconds. Bishop takes C4, and knight D3 is the immediate threat. What an interesting position. in a huge game. Neither side really all that satisfied with the draw.
Massive game.
Now Hikaru is lower on the clock. He can't find a move. Rook A D1. He goes Rook E D1. So technically it's a pawn sacrifice, but do you see Sasha taking this pawn on A2? Because I don't.
No.
Rook comes
No,
to
it allows
D6.
some Rook D7 or Rook D6, yeah.
Not his style at all. But what is Black going to do? If you don't take on D1, then it appears that White is very close to pushing Black once and for all off of his dominant post. Maybe Knight C6, Knight D4 is a maneuver to consider. He plays it. Bishop B3, the immediate response. And Knight D4 leads to a bunch of trades. Okay.
Yeah. I felt like Black has been kind of in control for a while in this game. I mean, I'm not saying this is particularly bad for White, but I'm curious if Black did have anything earlier. Certainly could have.
By the way, Benjamin has won, and he has qualified.
Okay.
We congratulate
right.
Benjamin. An excellent performance. And so 5 spots are now taken with 6.5, leaving 3 spots open. And one of those spots is going to be taken by the winner of this game. And Sasha down to 2 minutes, but look at his clock ticking down, and he goes E5, establishing, cementing the outpost on D4. Will the time be a factor in this game? What is Hikaru going to do? Queen G4 looks interesting. Actually, what does
Queen
Black
G4
do?
What's the threat? Bishop H6?
Yeah. I guess you can play Knight D4.
Yeah, exactly. You can just play Knight D4 and cover laterally.
Although I can still take on H6 here. But I even here, yeah, Queen H6, Bishop B7.
Take Bishop B, Rook B8, Rook B2.
No, I agree. This knight, when you have a knight like this on D4, like,
yeah,
there's no need to calculate any further. So Hikaru with now a big decision of his own. 2 minutes for both sides. This has been a very slow game. It's only move 23, and we're already playing a blitz game.
I just can't believe how extraordinarily slow it's been. It's been quite shocking, really.
I mean, we're going to be in a time scramble by move 30, an actual time scramble. And Hikaru now down to 2 minutes. And you can see we're watching his cam. He's focused intently here as his clock continues to fade, and the prospect of Knight D4 is frightening. And he activates his queen and brings it to H5. And now it's Sasha's turn to think. Okay, so the point of Queen H5, I suppose, is aimed against Knight D4, yeah? Which Grisham
But you can do it
anyway.
anyway, right?
I thought Hikaru's idea was to take on D4 and then take one of these pawns.
That's probably his idea.
I feel like liquidation is on the horizon here. It just seems that pawns are being
Queen
captured
B2.
in large numbers.
Yes.
Rook A B.
Now, we don't know if Sasha with 6 out of 9 qualifies, right?
We don't know if Hikaru with 6 out of 9 qualifies, because tie breaks
We don't know. Right.
work in the darndest ways, as they say.
Right.
Hikaru's tiebreak should be good because he had a great start. He's faced all of the strong guys because he's Hikaru. Oh my God, Rook B1 apparently was a big mistake.
Really?
And the reason is
What?
Rook A B8.
Oh my God, that's actually findable, by the way.
This is phenomenal. Rook takes B2. You think, what is this? This blunders the queen. No, A takes B2 and
Oh
the
my
double
goodness.
threat, and he missed it. And he missed it. And he missed it. But still, this looks very dangerous for White.
Yes.
But Grishuk's clock is going to kill him here. Okay, Rook A B8. By the way, Fabiano is still playing. He could rise to 6 out of 8, and he could be in the mix. Back to F1 goes Hikaru. To
Rook
the
B2,
second rank
this
goes
is-
Sasha.
very, very tough for Hikaru to defend.
I mean, the pieces
Almost equal on time.
D4. This looks winning for Sasha. Queen G2 offering the queen trade. Now trade in rook C8 maybe? Or D3. Not liked by the Evo bar. He goes for rook C8.
Doesn't like it, huh?
No, but I understand why he's doing it. I mean, there's no risk here. And now D3. Oh, but C6 and D2 rook C3 and is white okay there. D2. Rook D1. Not the move. Rook takes A2.
Oh my
C6.
goodness.
But it's anybody's game. I mean, this is wild. Why is this so winning? What is the move here? Is it rook E8?
Rook to rook A3? What? Rook C5? Rook D3?
The move there was king F8. He had to bring the king in. Now it's a draw.
No,
Now it's just a draw. Will Sasha try to flag him? No.
No.
Now it's a draw?
Will Hikaru try to flag him?
No, there's no way. I would imagine, although F5 was a little bit untoward. Wait a second. King C5.
F4? F4?
D6.
I have the opposition. H3?
Yeah, but you can't. Oh, wait. H3. Oh.
H3?
Wait, what happens? H3, G4. G4. Okay. He goes for the draw. H3, G4 is the draw. Hikaru locks it in straight away. And if Grishuk does not qualify and Hikaru does, that endgame will be, I think, our Coinbase critical moment. We'll get to that very shortly. But right now, we await the end of the games. Do not pay heed to the standings as they currently are. We need to wait for the games to finish. And there's one more game remaining, and then we will know the truth. Drum roll, please. Hans is holding his breath. Hikaru is holding his breath. And there's one game left. I don't know why Demchenko's still playing this. And he's resigned, and the tournament is over. And here we go. Okay. It is Hikaru. It is Sam. And it is Hans edging out Grishuk by 1.75 points. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Look how many people don't qualify. Shimanov, Kovalyov, Sadwani, Grishuk, all of those don't qualify, but Hans, Sevian, Hikaru, and of course, the top 5 with 6.5 do. Holy smokes.
So what does that mean then? If we could bring up the general standings then one more time, that would be fantastic.
So what that means...
Yeah, so I mean, Grishuk is...
So Grishuk is basically locked in, because even if Jose qualifies, Grishuk slides down to 12th place, right? None of the ones...
Jan.
Oh, Jan. But if even
No,
if
Jan is more than 10. Right.
So here's
Jan,
the thing. It's Maxim Matlakov whose place is in jeopardy. In fact, Maxim Matlakov will automatically be displaced because Jose will gain at least more than 1 point. So
right. So Jose is actually locked. He's a lock.
He is a lock.
Jose is in.
He will get a minimum of 3 points as a result of qualification into tomorrow. So Jose, we can tentatively say, has qualified and displaced Maxim Matlakov, who did not do well today. But going back to today's standings, Hikaru versus Grishuk. Lawrence, if you don't have any objections, I think we should choose that as our Coinbase critical moment of the game. And let's rewind to that final critical moment in the end game. This position after King F3. This is where Grishuk ended up going wrong. In serious time pressure, he went Rook B2, giving up the pawn on A3. Instead, the incredibly zen move, King F8, wins the game. How does it win the game? Well, white approaches the pawn, right? And now you have this move, this little move.
Oh, and Rook E1. And the A-pawn queens. That's beautiful.
Okay. Beautiful pattern, A2, A1. You leave the rook on pre, but you promote the pawn. This was totally understandably missed by Sasha. He played Rook B2, allowing Hikaru a chance to collect both of Black's pawns, save the game, and qualify. by tiebreak. And that is our Coinbase critical moment of the game, which allows Hikaru Nakamura to qualify yet again into this Sunday bracket. Mouth-watering matchups all around, Lawrence. I mean, look at Nepo Hans. What catches your eye?
Well, Nepo Hans straight away is a very, very entertaining match. Two extremely dynamic players, should be extremely fun to watch. We've got Hikaru against Benjamin Bog. Okay, I think Hikaru, massive favorite there for obvious reasons. We've got Sam Sevian against Wesley. So Sam, he's had periods of really good form. He might be a slightly awkward opponent for Wesley as well. Stylistically, he's a bit awkward. So that could get very exciting. And then
yes,
Bortnick against Jospin. That could go either way as well. That's a coin flip. So very nicely poised for tomorrow.
And RCC buffs might remember that Wesley and Sebian a couple of weeks ago played that scintillating final that went into the Armageddon game. So Sam Sevian is going to want a chance at revenge. Tomorrow, the Sunday knockout. It is the final one of the regular season. You will not want to miss it. Start time, as usual, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We will be bringing you that final Sunday knockout, followed by the playoffs and the finals next week. That will be Thursday through Sunday. But for now, the time has come for us to wrap up today's broadcast. We hope you've enjoyed this final Week 25 Saturday Swiss. Lawrence, always a pleasure commentating with you. And I'm excited
Likewise.
for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd like to thank everybody in the chat. As usual, tons of energy supporting your favorite player, our producer, Matt, for another flawless broadcast. And now for Lawrence Trent, everybody in our wonderful chess.com community on the production side and on the chat side, GM Daniel Naroditsky, I am Lawrence Trent saying so long from the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We will see you mañana.